Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy. The dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
Is the next search on February 28, 2020? 7:44 p.m. How, does the FBI find people? The people is misspelled P-E-O-O-P-L-E. Did the defendant find out how the FBI finds people in this case? Oh, she found out.
All right, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Thank you so much for being here today. I need your help first off. I have no idea who was first to check. I think it was Kim R. Kim R. Was it you? I think it was Kim. It was that or Britta Aller. I think I'm going to Kim R. I can't see yet. Let's see. Kim R. Kim R did it. There we go. Greeners. Appreciate that. The Greeners did not hesitate to throw Kim R under the bus. Right here. We're going to go with this one. Oh, that doesn't help at all, does it? How about this? Is that any better? Okay. Kim R did it, says Greeners. Congratulations, Kim. You are a repeat habitual offender. Being first in chat, you know what the penalty is. Get to add it to your record. It's just one more offense. So thank you very much for doing that. You know, taking one for the team, so to speak. Appreciate you very much, Kim. Let's see. We have. Oh my goodness, is it a day and a half? You know what day it is, though.
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Hump day! Welcome to Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Sorry if that woke anybody up, or neighbors are complaining now or something. I wonder what my neighbors think, because I'm pretty sure they can hear me. It's the day of the hump. Yeah, it is fantastic. I tell you what, I almost did not make it to Wednesday. I almost did not make it through yesterday because Chris, Jesus, well, that just went through my office. My windows shattered. What happened yesterday? I told you guys I had to leave. We the way we're following this court's a little weird because we're doing a half day live and a half day catch up every single day. So the first part of today is going to be catch up from last night, and the second half is going to be live as the court starts about noon my time, roughly. Noon,
is
1 o'clock.
Correct?
That's correct. I told Weather Watch, I told you all that I had to go to Raleigh last night, drive to Raleigh. It's about a 2-hour drive from here. And he just sends me a little picture. He's like, just heads up, there might be a little storm your way. And I'm telling the people who I was driving with, because we're driving a whole bunch of youth there for an activity. And I tell everyone else, hey, word is we're going to get a free car wash on the way there. So everybody, yay, free car wash. I love a free car wash. Who can say no to a free car wash? This one is all natural, a little rainstorm. So here we are going, 70 miles an hour on, I forget what the road is, 264 westbound. And I see just this cloud ahead, and it looks pretty dark. And I'm like zipping along, and for no good reason.
Oh, that was terrible.
I apologize. For no good reason, my car, as it sees the clouds and the rain ahead, it throws 2 error codes. It says StabiliTrak off and ABS braking is turned off. And then it also says, and you need to do maintenance on your trailer brakes. And this is on Mrs. Aria's car, the Yukon XL. So these lights come on. It's like, why do I lose my traction control and my ABS braking for no reason as we're driving along? What? I need a cough drop. She's listening. Mrs. R is like, you need some water. It was because I did the yell so well. Let's do this right now. Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. So I guess I have to drink it for it to work. There we go. Now it's buttery smooth. So these two things go off, and the error lights are flashing on my screen, on my display, and the console. And we're driving along, and sure enough, we hit water. But it wasn't like hitting the rainstorm where it starts sprinkling. No, it's like we drove into a pool, because the water was almost standing like several feet high. It was just coming down in buckets. And of course, without those two control things on, 70 miles an hour, we do something called hydroplaning, which when you're in a Yukon XL, which is a big SUV, is not as fun. It's not as fun as, say, like when you're like at a water slide and you're skimming across the surface. So that was fun. And we drove through everyone. People, there was no place to park. Every overpass.
Scratch all that. Oh, that was terrible.
It was terrible. Every overpass, the sides of the road, cars like were parked on both sides, just like hazard lights on. Everyone stopped underneath any shelter they can find, and so it was all taken. So we just had to keep driving along. Visibility's down to about 40 feet in rain. 40 feet. And some people think that they're good to go, and they're doing like 60 in the fast lane, and the others of us are crawling along in the slow lane. It was just a recipe for disaster. Went on for about 20 minutes as we went through this storm, and just incredible lightning everywhere. And there were some points where there was gusty wind pushing us around. Anyway, so Weather Watch, thanks for the heads up. The car is clean now, though, and I did make it home safely, so that was good. All right, with that being said, hopefully your yesterday was not quite so eventful. Do we have anyone with birthdays today? Did I miss this? Thank you, by the way. Did that message go up on screen? I think it did. That sounds very therapeutic to me now, thirsty now. Usually it has another effect on people, Purple Haze. I'm just saying. I do have to drink it for it to work. It was like microburst, but we were driving, it was coming towards us and we were going towards it. So you'd think we would go through it quickly, but it was a big band of rain. And there were like multiple bands. So at one point it cleared up and it was like rain just stopped. And then we hit it again just as hard. It was like torrential. The windshield wipers going as fast as they can, and you still just can't see through anything. It was bizarre. Better to be in the SUV than a Camaro or a motorcycle, considering, the options. I'm glad I'm safe as well. It was aquaplane heaven. It was not heaven, close. Let's see. You had a car full of kids for that? Yes. They were a little nervous. A little bit nervous. As tired as you were for yesterday afternoon, I'm sure adrenaline rush was welcomed. Yes, and Mountain Dew may have played into that one, as it did this morning. So I've just got a wee bit of a bit of energy this morning because of that. I'll probably crash this afternoon. Let's see. Did we see anyone's birthdays? I didn't see anything. Just in a quick scroll. Okay.
Alex Stollett.
Friend Sassy has a birthday today. She's disabled, and her boyfriend or best friend broke up with her, probably boyfriend, broke up with her a few days ago. I'm going to make sure she has a good day. Kayla's Diaries, thank you so much. Thanks for being a good friend. The world needs more good friends, as we've seen in this trial, especially. They're not as common as they should be, and it's good to see that there's still good people out there. So thank you very much. Wish her a good day from us as well. Good happy birthday. Let's see. Pays have excellent tires for sure. Yes, our tires were good, but suddenly I wanted tires that had like the siping and the aqua, all the water features. Almost needed paddles. Let's see. I don't see any birthdays.
I'm not a cat.
After we have a whole bunch of birthdays, we have none. That's just the way it goes. I would much prefer to drive on snowy roads than in rain. That hydroplane scares me so much, especially on the highway with the big rigs. Holly, I've done both, and I'm more comfortable driving in snow, even though I personally believe it's more dangerous to drive in snow. Because the snow just a little bit can freeze and you can have a layer of ice, whereas the water, you don't get the ice. So when you slow down, you're usually better in water, as long as it's not deep. Do we know how many witnesses the state has to call? Tangi Mills, the state is going to call basically every witness. Pretty much they called the first trial that is still alive. I think that one or two of them might have died. But every witness that's still alive from the first trial, plus 3 or 4 more. So we'll have to go pull the list from the first trial, which I have not done yet. And maybe 4 or 5 more. I'll probably crash this afternoon. No pun intended. At least I didn't crash yesterday, Thomas. And thank you for the heads up. In the midst of that storm, I was the tail vehicle in the caravan. I think we had 5 cars going, okay, because we had a bunch of people with us. And I was the tail vehicle, and so we were. I was taking the caboose, and so I called the person who was up in front. I'm like, just FYI, does this end ever? I mean, is it going to be like this the whole way to Raleigh? He's like, oh, we're just getting to the edge of it. I think you're like 5 minutes behind us. I think he was like 20 minutes ahead of us. It just kept going and going and going. It was so much water. And then let's see if I can, let me see if I can find this. Just one second. I think I took a picture. I'll see if I can share it. I didn't like take a picture while I was driving because that would be bad.
I object.
I object too. Oh yeah, here we go.
Scratch all that. Oh, that was
Scratch.
terrible. I apologize.
Waiting. There we go. It's not that funny. Just one second. Okay, media. This cash cow was in the way. Sorry. I need to be able to see. Where'd my image go? I just dropped it in right there. And what can I get rid of? Oh, this guy. Okay, here we go.
Is that correct?
MP2. This is what I got while I'm driving along. It's like terrifying, okay? Like we can barely see. Hazards are going. I'm like watching my rearview mirror because I'm sure I'm just going to see like headlights and then feel a big map crunch from the back. And while this is going, my phone suddenly does this like alert, and on the bottom, flash flood warning, and we got 2 of them. Just like basically, then the warning when you open it up just basically says, "Don't go outside. Don't travel unless you have to." I'm like, oh goody. So, and there were times where cars were they drive through water, and even though there was no pooling water anywhere, it was just so much water coming down, it had nowhere to go. And it was just driving through a lake on the freeway, even though it's the highest point around. Crazy. It was just bizarre. Anyway, thanks Weather Watch. It was good. I was thinking, I wish I could film this for you guys. It would be a lot of fun. I mean, for everyone but me. Okay, you got your Recovery Addict sticker yesterday. That's awesome, Carrie H. Wonderful. I'm so ready for afternoon session from yesterday, hoping spicy. And I'm just hoping we're done with the video because the videos were bad, but the way we watched the trial, we got both videos the same day because we watched like the afternoon of the day before and then yesterday's morning together, and that just put both videos, the interrogation and the walkthrough, right next to each other. Was worst possible scenario for those people who just cannot stand the defendant's speaking style. You cannot blame this on Weather Watch. Why not? He's the weather guy. No, I actually give him credit because I was cautious because he did say, just heads up. He knew that it was coming. I was in meetings all day yesterday. Didn't miss anything good. Gone Girl, you are the fortunate one. I would say you won yesterday. It was rough. We had videos, interrogation, and the walkthrough video with the defendant. Red Pen's got Weather Watch's back. Thomas is awesome. I love him. Great friend as well. Any blaming I give him is all in jest. You always have the most amazing experiences. I would not put this in the amazing category. It was definitely an experience, though. Pretty much zoned out during the house tour. Yeah, we've seen the best parts of that. If you watch the Dateline special, you've seen the pertinent parts. The only reason I wanted to watch it here is to make sure or to see if there was anything else that he said during that tour that may come back and bite him with physical evidence. And I think we've pretty much got all we need to out of that. Let's see. Dodie Sweeney, my husband's birthday is tomorrow. Can you sing happy birthday tomorrow? I think I can. I will be on tomorrow, and I'll bring my singing voice. Let's see. Are we ready to begin? Anything else? He only reports it. The walkthrough is horrible. It's the worst part is just the way that, I mean, his wife and good friend are both dead in a very traumatic experience, and he's just so calm about it. And then he's disparaging his wife, who's just barely died, but just barely was murdered. And he's like, "Oh, she's the worst. I wish she'd do this now. You know, I miss her and all. You know, silly lady." It's just like you leaves her shoes all over. I'm like, Sharon, like seriously, dude. This is your go-to point in your head when your wife just passed away, which you're saying you're not responsible for. Uh-oh, buffer. It's Sassy's birthday today. Sassy, happy birthday. We almost got away without singing. Where were you, Sassy? Let's see. I think I missed it somewhere. Let's see. R.A. saying happy birthday to Sassy. I can't see where Sassy said it, but I believe it is her birthday, so we can do that. We will... Yeah, I will say, if you're here and you missed yesterday, don't bother about the rewatch. Okay, it's not, you didn't miss that much. Just stay here. We'll do it. Anybody else's birthday today other than Sassy? And it's just Sassy, not Sassy anything else, right? Oh, Sassy is the friend of a viewer here. That makes more sense. So if Sassy is watching, I'm going to need a little more water here. Okay, I think we're ready. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Sassy and Kiera. Happy birthday to you. There we go. Kiera barely got added to the list as the music started. Tangi, thank you for letting us know. Happy birthday to your daughter as well. That is awesome. I think those are the only two we've got. I think that's it. So if anyone else has a birthday, happy birthday. Thank you so much for being here, or thanks for having friends that are here. Either way, I appreciate either one. All right, love the jury questions. They already have him pegged. Judy, I can't wait to hear more of them. I really think we need to hear more of the jury questions today as the trial goes on. Hopefully that sort of like broke the ice with that first jury question we heard, and they now start thinking, oh, this is how it works. I can be part of this. I should be a little more involved, or I'd like to get some questions answered. Maybe their brains thinking those things through. Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Yesterday, let me just say, yesterday here we had that heat advisory. They said it was like the heat index was 115. Hadn't been that bad since 2019. So the whole time I've been here in North Carolina, that was the worst day for heat ever. And then that storm to follow. We get more jury questions, no worries. Thank you, DMB. I'm excited now. I'm excited. That'll be fun. All right, let's bring court in, because that needs to happen. We're getting ready. Got the audio. Got the video. I think we're ready.
All rise for the jury.
The jury is already here. They are so quick. Bring the jury. It was a lucky guess, Tangi. I have to admit, I might not get it right next time.
Please be seated. Your Honor, the jury's all present and accounted for.
We are back on the record in C-250966, stated adverse to Thomas Randolph. May the record reflect Mr. Randolph was present with his attorney, deputy district attorneys on behalf of the state. We both parties stipulate to the presence of our jury.
Yes, we do.
Yes, Your Honor. State, you may recall Detective Long.
Why do they have to stipulate to the presence of the jury? It's like they could all see them there. Still have Detective Mogg on the stand.
Detective Long, I just remind you that you are still under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Martin, whenever you're ready. Thank you, Your Honor.
Detective Mogg, I think we left off at the end of the run-through. At that point, Mr. Randolph left this Rancho Santa Fe residence with his brother.
I believe so.
Okay, and then homicide detectives left whenever they left?
Yes.
I think you alluded to this, but there was possibly some further processing of the residents with the crime scene analyst that night?
There was.
Okay. I want to sort of shift gears here. If How many witnesses and victims do you think you've interviewed over the course of your career? Estimate.
I don't have a clue. Probably thousands.
That's not what you want your expert witness to say.
Any of
I
those
don't
people
have a
ever
clue.
reported receiving a busy signal on 911?
Might get that soundbite. I don't have a clue.
He's not qualified to give a discussion about, to provide an answer or an opinion about 911.
It's not an opinion. I'm just asking about his experience as interviewing victims and witnesses.
Well, I mean, he can testify to his
If he knows
experience as a police officer, but we had the lumens person here yesterday in regards to the 911. I'm going to sustain that objection.
Have you ever had anyone report hearing a busy signal?
No.
In the residence, did you take note of where there appeared to be like landline phones in the residence?
I did.
And can you give us the approximate locations of those?
There was one in the kitchen dining room area, I believe. There was one in the master bedroom, and I believe there was one in the office area.
Okay, the place where he got the gun, that little room right to the left when you go in through the garage?
That's correct.
Okay. During actually I should say this. On the first night, were you called upon to move a vehicle out of the garage?
I was.
Which vehicle was that?
The Hyundai, I believe it's a Santa Fe, the SUV that Mr. Randolph was driving.
And what was the reason why that vehicle needed to be moved on the 8th through the 9th?
I believe they needed to do some more processing in there and photographs and that, and they asked me if I would back it out.
When you backed out the vehicle, did you notice whether or not music was playing loud?
I didn't notice that it was overly loud.
Okay. During Mr. Randolph's interview, he indicated that from the dinner at the charcoal room that he and Sharon Randolph went to a gas station before they proceeded home.
That's correct.
Did you do anything in order to verify or secure the sort of the timing information on that?
I did. On May 13th, I went to the Funny's gas station, met with management. They provided me surveillance video of their gas pumps. I reviewed that video.
Okay. How did you know what video to ask for? Like, how did you track it to the transaction?
We looked for a timeline and then also for Mr. Randolph's vehicle arriving.
Okay.
And something went wrong. I just lost my internet connection. Hold on just one second. Not my whole internet connection, just that part. Hold tight here.
I apologize.
Yes, I apologize. We're going to get this back. Just one second. Wait for it, wait for it. Man, what day was that? Sorry, it just reset everything. There it is. I should have been looking at the screen to see where we're at, but let's see if it's right here. Oh, we're back at. Oh man, Melissa, it's your birthday, Melissa. You're late. You missed the song. Happy birthday, Melissa.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir,
I apologize.
How are you employed?
It backed up.
I was a detective.
Nope, this is the wrong one. Whoa.
been a police officer for over 35 years. Was with Metro for 21 and a half, or 27 and a half.
Okay, so we need to figure out what we're doing wrong here. That was the beginning. This was yesterday.
And the last 20 years,
I think my my Apple TV just went down like a wormhole, and the dates are all wrong. Okay, where's my playlists? Where did it go? Okay. Is this the right one?
last 20 years, I was assigned to the homicide section.
And when
We've lost the video. Does everyone else notice that the video we were just watching just got pulled off YouTube?
Scratch all that. Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
What just happened? Let me edit, says Kimar. Let me edit. Amber just got her wish. We want the August 15th stream. August 15th is yesterday. Let me find the playlists and see where it went. There's past live streams, uploads, playlists. It's not appearing in the playlists at all. How are we supposed to get caught up if we can't watch it? Fun day, huh? How are you guys doing? Okay, let me check a different device to see if it's just my Apple TV that's being weird. It's gone. How could you use Brandy's from yesterday? Probably not. I'm not sure. I'd have to talk with Brandy first. There's no video or audio right now. Not at all. Like it got pulled. Most likely, I'm guessing, the provider who shall not be named is probably editing it to remove personal information that may have been contained in the live stream. Like it's completely gone. Okay.
And when did you retire?
When did you retire? Okay. Well, maybe we just need to act it out ourselves for those who watched it. Who cheated and watched with Brandy yesterday? Who cheated and watched with Brandy? I think they're editing it. What they've probably done is pulled something down to remove something. We have to start covering live afternoons live when they happen. I don't think so. I think this is just a one-off because all the other videos are there. Becky Lou says, I understand your frustration yesterday. Lightning took out our home PC, security cameras, and other equipment. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man, that is awful. Glad you're safe, though. I mean, it could have been so much worse. We need new internet management. No, it's not Kimar's fault. The fact that you can still see me means that she's doing her job. I think someone else was the weakest link on this one. It's gone for everybody. Yeah, it all got pulled. Could this happen again? It's possible. Red tie is yesterday's news. How about Ari takes a nap and we pick up the live later? We could do that, but it was really good, Cicely. Okay, we want to watch it. We sat through all those videos waiting for this part. Getting a little blurry for you. Oh, that's my fault. I can fix that. No, I'm not blurry. How about that? Doug Bugger says, I cheated all week. You can give us the answers then. How's the trial going so far, other than pulling yesterday's feed this morning? Who's in charge of the internet? It's never Kim's fault. Don't tell if you watched yesterday on Brandy's channel. Let me reach out to Brandy really quickly and see if we can borrow her stream. I would need her permission because she would be able to hit me with a copyright strike. And not that she would. I don't think she ever would, but it's something I need permission to do. Let's see. Here's the best way to reach her. Let's do it like this. I don't know how this would work. Brandy does have her feet up. I'm not sure how it can make it work. Can we get the Lucy and Brandy on stream? You may block out the Lucy cam though. That's proprietary. Yeah, it's gone. It's down. It's not going to be gone forever. It's going to be brought back up, but it's probably going to be brought back up and edited with something taken out. And it just might take, because of the encoding that's required when video gets uploaded, it might take some time to do that. So it's not permanent, but it's just right when we need it, it's not there. Just to fill in some space, I just read that scientists in Key West found an iTripod and named it after Jimmy Buffett. Wow, what an honor to say I have an iTripod named after me. We'll only borrow Brandy, not steal her. I don't know. Here's what I'd say. If we were using Brandy's stream, I would want us to be on Brandy's stream to watch it, because even if she said yes, and I'm sure she would not bat an eyelid and say yes immediately, we could do it. That's just the sort of person she is. But in doing that, she would get one view, which would be my view, where she's put in all the effort. It would only make sense that we all go over and watch it on her channel, even on delay. But then I would not be able to sort of speak over it. Does that make sense? I wouldn't want her to miss out on that if we're all benefiting from the hard work she put in. Let's all sing Margaritaville. Are we ready? We'll give it a little bit of time. We've got some time to see if this gets put back up. I think my wife is making smoothies in the other room. Let's see.
Is that correct?
I'm surprised it's missing from their playlists, though. Interesting. Can you have a smoothie? Everyone gets a smoothie, apparently. Just have to let Mrs. R.A. know.
Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
He signed my conch shell. How many people can say that? Jimmy Buffett signed my conch shell. It's okay. We all know he's guilty. Patrizia. That's funny. I would like bananas in mine. Missed Judge Boyd's session yesterday. We miss her a lot. Wasting away in Margaritaville. Something about sugar and salt. Currently making one now. Tammy's also making smoothies, so you can request one from her. She's got the Ninja out. Okay. We might jump up to Judge Simpson while I'm watching this. Hold on, we'll wait and see if it pops back up. We might do a little court hopping while that happens. Okay, here comes Judge Simpson incoming.
Your Honor, the positive test was .012. I don't know what the margin of error is on their device. Now, further.
Was there a test taken after that of the 28th?
I have, what I have dated August 2nd, it stops at July 28th, Your Honor. I can tell you what Ms. Rushton has done since she's retained me. She has
I see gone
into back into
Allie B. Thanks for gifting 5 memberships.
She has I got to put my glasses on for a minute, Your Honor. I can't read my writing.
And Your Honor, before Mr. Vincent starts reading all of that, the people are aware of all the treatment that Ms. Rushton has done. The only concern I have is the violation where it is a .012. Given all the things that Mr. Vincent has and his office have sent over, thank you, Ellie, she has done extensive treatment and has done a lot of things to get into compliance and to try to get into treatment. So the people are offering a reduction of an operating while intoxicated. And I don't know if Mr. Vincent recalls us talking about that, but that was the offer.
Well, they're talking. Brandy, it's easier for me to explain on mic than not. The network that shall not be named pulled down the video
for the offer,
this morning from yesterday. They have everything else up but just that one. I'm not sure why they pulled it. It's either malicious because they don't like me, or or they were trying to remove something like personal information that maybe have been revealed. They might have to edit it out or something. I'm not sure. We talked briefly about possibly watching your stream because it's still up with that content, but I would rather send everyone to watch your stream individually than even with your permission watch your stream and you not get the views from that. So that's where we are. We're waiting for a little bit to see if it pops back up.
All right. And ma'am, could you please raise your right hand? Need the camera on her. Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
State your name for the record, please.
Victoria L. Rushton.
All right. You can put your hand down. Ma'am, it is this court's understanding that you're going to plead guilty to the charge of operating while intoxicated. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail, $500 fine plus court costs. Court could order community service and any rehabilitative programs the court deems necessary. The court could also order your vehicle immobilized. The court could also order you to pay the cost of the prosecution as well as the cost of any emergency governmental services. You understand that, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Understanding all of that, do you still wish to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
And to that charge, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Now, you understand that by pleading guilty, you'll not have a trial of any kind.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because of that, you're giving up certain rights. You're giving up your right to call witnesses to speak for you at trial or to have this court compel their attendance. You're giving up your right to see, hear, and question all witnesses against you at trial. You're also giving up your right to be a witness for yourself or to remain silent, not have that silence used against you. And you're giving up your right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand you're giving up your right to appeal of right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you on probation or parole?
No, I am not.
Has anybody promised you anything other than what's been stated here today on the record to get you to plead to this charge?
No, they have not.
Anybody threaten you or coerce you?
No.
You're doing this voluntarily?
Yes.
Of your own free will?
Yes, I am.
And because you believe that you're guilty of this offense?
Yes, I am.
December 4th, 2022, at the location of Carpenter Road, Pittsfield Township, Washtenaw County, State of Michigan, were you operating a motor vehicle?
Yes.
Prior to operating that motor vehicle, did you consume intoxicating liquor?
Yes.
What did you have and how much?
Wine, I had 2 bottles.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Your Honor, for purpose of this plea, will stipulate that a blood test done by the Michigan State Police Forensic Lab came back at .324.
All right. So you had quite a bit to drink, correct?
Yeah, 2
Were you
bottles
stopped
of
by
wine.
the police? Were you stopped by the police or was there an accident?
Accident.
Okay. Do you know what happened?
That's a lot.
I ran into one car and kept going and ran into another one.
Just drove until the car.
And you were ultimately arrested and taken to the hospital for a blood draw?
I don't believe I was arrested. I was injured, so I was taken to the hospital.
Your Honor, we'll stipulate you were arrested, taken to the hospital.
Yeah.
There was
I don't remember
blood
being
draw
arrested.
made according to the protocol done properly, and the blood was shipped to the Michigan State Crime Lab.
And ma'am, you don't have any reason to dispute those blood test results, do you?
No.
All right. Counsel, have I complied with the court rule and would it be proper to accept this defendant's plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will accept the defendant's plea to count 2. Count 1 is dismissed. Defendant is referred to Von Schwartz for an alcohol screening and assessment and the victim's impact panel.
Man.
Sentencing in this matter will be
September
13th, 2023, 9 a.m. or as your Zoom invite indicates. Bond will continue with its conditions. All right. Ma'am, what I'm going to need you to do is wait a moment. We're going to put you into a breakout room, apparently with Mr. Vincent. We're going to put you into a breakout room and probation is going to get some information so we can proceed to sentencing. All right?
Thank you.
What? Oh, Mr. Vincent has the next case. Oh, good job, Mike.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate all the compliments I received.
Yeah.
They're so few.
Okay, well, well, she's going to have to come down to the court then, or we'll have to put you in past your next case, or however you want to do that.
Well, Your Honor, we could go in the breakout room and just skip the next case for a couple.
Okay. All right, let's do that. Let's put them into a breakout room. And
Mr. Waite is here, and he's out in my front office. So.
Oh, okay, because we have to wait for him to come in anyway. So, all right. Okay, thank you. See you in a bit. Court calls the case. People versus Jose. Is it Aguiano?
Maria Ursinski on behalf of the people.
This is an arraignment and pretrial without counsel, and they are not present.
Jose Aguiano? No response. Bench warrant will issue for defendant's failure to appear. Bond will be set.
I realize
in the amount.
Let me turn them down
of
just for a minute.
$5,000.
Bench warrants issued.
Give a 10% privilege on that.
It's very likely that
warrant, so
the
it
provider
will
that
issue
has this stream up on
18th.
YouTube that has pulled it
Will issue
pulled it
August
because
18th,
yesterday there was some personal information
2023.
revealed. Not something like that's
Or
not
does call
YouTube
the
friendly,
case
but
of
more
the
like
people versus
doxing type
Candace
information.
Brooks.
And YouTube frowns on that, and so they might be pulling that down to blur that out or cut that
Candace
part out.
Brooks. No response. Bench warrant will issue for defendant's failure to appear. Bond will be set in the amount of $5,000. I'll give a 10% privilege on that. And
Two
that
drinks.
warrant will issue
One
until
bottle and then another
August
bottle.
18th, 2023.
I guess the 2 kegs would be the same. You know, 2
Court does
drinks.
call the case of the people versus Vanessa Fleming.
Maria Rosinsky on behalf of the people.
Arraignment and pretrial, no counsel.
Fleming, no response. Bench warrant will issue for defendant's failure to appear. Bond will be set in the amount of $5,000. Get the sticker on. $5,000, 10%. That will not issue until the 18th. And court does call the case of people versus Daryl Frederick.
Maria Rosinsky on behalf of the people.
Pretrial, no counsel, no defendant.
Daryl Frederick, no response. Bench warrant will issue for defendant's failure to appear. Bond $5,000. 10% privilege. That won't issue until August 18th, 2023.
Weather Watch, I see what
they've
been doing that every day, but they haven't been pulling things.
Okay. Court recalls case people versus Darius Embry.
Maria Rosinsky on behalf of the people.
David I. Goldstein appearing on behalf of the defendant. Your Honor, I called his phone and went right to voicemail. I don't know where he is.
Darius Embry, you're on my screen. You need to unmute. Well, he's obviously here. What I will do with his case, and we'll send him a message. I'll just adjourn this out to the 6th.
Yes.
Your
To
Honor,
September 6th.
If we could set this to final settlement and jury selection, it'll save some time.
Okay.
13th and 16th of October.
Jury final settlement conference, October 13th, 2023, 9 a.m. Jury selection if necessary, October 16th, 2023 at 8:30. Both of those proceedings are in person.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Bond will continue with its conditions. We'll send him a message with that. Okay, thank you. All right.
And Mr. Vincent is out.
Mr. Vincent is out.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. That means he's on the loose.
So what I'm hearing was he's on the loose. Bench warrant. I'm hearing there's not that it's not a terribly exciting afternoon yesterday, as far as content goes. It's bench warrant Wednesday, yes, for sure.
I have it in custody. Is that on my 10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were just overachievers and science.
Okay. Who's on that, PD?
Mrs. RA gave me the thumbs up to keep
Yes.
the beard,
Yeah,
the goatee. So
Yeah,
it's
we
not a
can
full
take
beard.
it after we get that one away. I'll just at least start on those. Court does call the cases of the people versus James Bradley Wade.
Maria Rosinsky on behalf of the people.
James Bradley
Your Honor,
Wade.
Michael Vincent on behalf of Mr. Wade, who is sitting next to me. Tell the judge good morning and state your name.
Good morning, Your Honor. My name is James Wade II.
Tell the judge good morning.
And what are we doing
Be
on
polite.
these cases?
Your Honor, this is an arraignment pretrial. He stands mute to the charge, and we wish to have another pretrial, so hopefully we can untangle this.
All right. And then having waived or reading standing mute to the judge's court will enter a not guilty plea. It's August 16th. Pretrial in this matter, as well as the ticket will follow along, will be adjourned to September 6th, 2023, 9 a.m. As your Zoom invite indicates, defendant's bond is set as a $5,000 personal recognizance.
Your Honor, we say that.
You have an in-person
Tell the judge.
Your Honor, Amanda here. Hello. We
Whoa.
have, Mr. Vincent has an in-person that morning. If we could have a different date by chance.
I want to say no.
I'm sure if it was Mr. Vincent,
I just want to see what
they'll.
I just want to see what they'll do if I tell them no.
They'll send Hall.
Oh, they'll send Joe Hall? Okay, no, we're gonna. All right. September 20th, 2023, 9 a.m. Will that work?
That does, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brandy's in court, in her own court that she's following this
thanks,
morning.
guys.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yeah. Since he's up, why don't we try this one? Court calls case People versus Camu Carter.
Maria Rosinski on behalf of the people.
Silvana Reed, Assistant Public Defender with and on behalf of Mr. Carter. Once you are unmuted, sir, could you please state your name for the record?
Well, define with, because you look like you're in your house and he looks like
Thank
he's
you.
in prison.
Your Honor, as a part of a global resolution with this felony matter, Mr. Carter is going to plead as charged in this case. He has been advised that it is in his best interest to plead no contest, but he had concerns that pleading no contest would defeat his global resolution. Ms. Kirby, is it possible that you can confirm with him that no contest is an acceptable plea?
Correct. The no contest would not affect his global resolution at all.
Mr. Carter, are you okay with pleading no contest then?
Yeah, I'll plead no contest.
Thank you.
All right. All right, Mr. Carter, can you raise your right hand?
Just
please,
trust
sir?
your attorney.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
State your name for the record, please.
Kamal Carter.
All right. Sir, it is this court's understanding you're going to plead no contest to the charge of child abuse 4th degree. That is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year incarceration and probation up to 5 years. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you understand what a no contest plea is?
Yes, now.
All right.
I do now.
Let me explain two things about it just to make sure. And the first thing you need to understand about a no contest plea is it means that you're not further desirous or wanting to contest this charge. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, wow.
Second thing you need to understand is that for purposes of sentencing, the court will treat you the same as though you had pled guilty. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Still wish to plead no contest?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Reed, the basis for the no contest plea?
Potential civil liability.
All right. Mr. Carter, to that charge, how do you plead?
No, guilty?
No.
No contest.
Really?
No contest, my fault. No contest.
Okay. All right. You understand that by pleading no contest, you'll not have a trial of any kind?
Yes, sir.
Because of that, you're giving up certain rights. You're giving up your right to call witnesses to speak for you at trial or to have this court compel their attendance. You're giving up your right to see, hear, and question all witnesses against you at trial. You're also giving up your right to be a witness for yourself or to remain silent, not have that silence used against you. And you're giving up your right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand that?
Sir.
You understand you're giving up your right to appeal of right?
Yes, sir.
Are you on probation or parole?
No, sir.
Has anybody promised you anything other than what's been stated here today to get you to plead to this charge?
Sir.
Has anybody threatened you or coerced you?
No, sir.
You're doing this voluntarily and of your own free will?
Yes, sir.
The court has been provided and has
Amber,
reviewed
5
Pittsfield
years.
Township Department
That's
of Public Safety report for their case number 234481. Any objection to the court having reviewed that report?
No, Your Honor.
None from defense.
Based upon a review of that report, the court does find that there's a sufficient factual basis in which the court could determine the defendant's guilt of this offense. Counsel, have I complied with the court rule?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense is also satisfied.
Court will accept the defendant's plea of no contest to this charge. Defendant is referred to probation for a pre-sentence investigation and report. Sentencing in this matter. Did we set sentencing in his other matters yet?
On the 11th, September 11th.
Pardon?
September 11th.
September 11th?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes,
That was a DV, right?
correct, Your Honor. Technically, since
I'll just ask this question. Do you want them all together at that time? I mean.
Yes, sir.
Well, I know you do, but I wasn't asking you.
the people have no objection to that, as long as Mr.
All right.
is okay with that as well.
Then I'll set his sentencing in this to a special time, at least for this case. September 11th, 2023 at noon. Okay. And we'll do it that way. All right. So even though I wasn't asking him, he got his way. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. We'll see you then. Thank you. I'm not going to put him into a breakout room because they're already going to see him on the other cases. So it'll all get taken care of. Okay.
I was just thinking this, DMB. As they're talking about the next thing, turn them down. I don't know why they pulled it down. It's the only one they have pulled down.
Call momentarily. Let's get set up for that.
It might be specifically because they don't like me, but I doubt it. I'm not that pretentious to think it's just about me. I think it's something on their end or something they decided to do. I'm going to turn off the sound here as we're waiting. Okay. Interesting. I've never seen them do this. I could download it. Those who have used YouTube to download the feed from yesterday as well will notice that it's gone as well. When the person who owns the video pulls the video down, all those downloaded videos from the people who downloaded it or thought they downloaded it, it disappears there as well, unless you have a physical hard copy of the video. So Brandy's is still up because she created a new video using that as part of the content. But let's see. So we can, I mean, I have all the equipment to download it. I can do that. Let's see how much space do I have on, let's see, where's my drive? This guy. Right here. This is a 1 terabyte solid state disk. I just accomplished the impossible. I plugged in a USB plug without looking. It's USB-C, so it's easy to use. Let's see. I've got space for. Let me see. So, it really says 33 hours. I've got room for 33 hours of recording on there. That'll work. They showed a social security number on one, but I'm not sure if it was yesterday. That's the sort of thing they're going to be trying to edit out, and I think it was from yesterday. So that's I'm guessing that's what they're trying to do. You know, USB has a little logo on it that tells you which end is up. This is USB-C, so it's interchangeable as far as directions. It's just a smaller target to hit. GSD Mom says, "Wait, what happened? I missed it." The feed we were using from yesterday that we were going to watch the rest of today, this morning as we were watching it, got pulled down off YouTube. So nobody has access to it right now. Only the content creator that puts the feed up can do that. So it looks like they chose to do that on purpose. And it was just that feed of the playlist that got pulled. So we're just left to speculate as to why it is down and why it's not up. It may come back here as they make a small edit or modification to it. But right now we just have the day befores and everything before that. did show an SSN. Yes, it was on the transcript of the interview. And that was the day before, wasn't it? I thought that was the day before. Yes, the oval one, the smaller oval one, not the big square one. I don't know if it was the walkthrough that had the SSN. I thought it was the interview that had the SSN with the text on the bottom. But I know there were some phone numbers as well that were included, so they might be trying to edit all those out. Yes, it was so long yesterday, Samantha. That was a terrible day. I was looking forward to today. Yep, commonly used as a power source, can also be used for network. It's a very versatile plug, DMB, the USB-C, and I love it. MCAT, the SSN was from yesterday morning. That video is still up. I don't think so. If you watch that, that was the first day of testimony from the witness when he said, from Mr. the detective dude, where he said he was retired. That can't be the right video, right? Let me scroll down and see if it's... Maybe I'm in the wrong spot. Okay, we're going to turn on a little bit of audio so we can listen. It ends with the interrogation, and after the interrogation came the walkthrough. So the video that was up, that's still up, that shows it was from a day ago, was actually from 2 days ago. Believe me, it wasn't groundbreaking, just as before. It's a bummer. Let's see. What do we want to do instead? I know there was a police chase, but hang on just 1 second. Send some to Brandy. Whoa, just got a news story coming in. Out of North Carolina that is bizarre. This is from Reddit, so I take it with a grain of salt, but North Carolina man fatally shoots driver after he runs over and kills his son. So the way it's written, I'm not sure if the North Carolina man both ran over his son and shot a driver, or if he shot the driver that ran over his son. It's a poorly written headline, but I'll have to look into that. Let's see. IBT Times had it. Brandy was just telling me that she had the similar thing happen during the Melly trial where a feed was taken down. LNC Twitter had this lovely headline yesterday. Mother checked out gas smell in her son's room only to discover dead woman wrapped in plastic, said the cops. Whoa. Yeah, it smells like a gas leak. Nope, it's just a dead body. Whew, I was concerned that there was a gas leak. Thank goodness. Okay, so driver ran over his son, and he's the driver, I believe, says Mr. Upper-Torso. That's the worst possible way this outcome could happen. So he ran over his son. Okay, I heard that. Driver. Is the driver the same guy who shot? That's what I'm confused about. He shot the driver that ran over his son. Then he and his wife fled in the guy's truck, leaving their son behind. What? Okay, what county is this in? Peterson County. How far is that from me? Okay. Brandy says to use her stream. I'm gonna go ahead and pull hers up. And she also says, when they did this during the Melly trial, the lawyer, used her feed as well. So she's like, yeah, go ahead. Brandy, you are amazing. As all of you already know, Brandy's incredible. We absolutely love her. She does an amazing job. She has an incredible channel that all of you should be subscribed to. Even if you don't watch, just give us a subscribe and probably just go over there and click like every time you see her live and just drop in and say hi. She really is a very, very talented content creator, and very smart true crime fanatic and addict. I know she calls themselves the 13th Jurors over there, the Wine Moms, things like that. She has a fun community that most of us also include ourselves in. So just awesome. We've got to follow this, Melby. I've got to look at this trial and see I don't even know where Peterson County is. Hold on one second. I don't know my own counties in the state I'm in. Peterson County, North Carolina. Show me on the map. Oh, the Peterson. Is it Peterson? Oh, Pierce. Why did it say Pearson? The Person County. Person.
Alex stole it.
Is that spelled right? Person County, North Carolina. That's the weirdest name I've ever heard. Didn't know this existed even. Let's see, north of Raleigh. It's not that far. It's probably a 3-hour drive from me. If this goes to court, man, I might.
I object.
It's going to probably be, let's see, where's the county seat there? Is that in Roxborough, do you think? Or Somerset? Looks pretty. Looks pretty remote is what it does. RA has a local story. It's close. Person County. Got it. Brandy's the only U.S. YouTuber that pronounces my name right. That includes me. I think I get it wrong too. Tell me your pronunciation, and I'll try to remember it if I'll say it like 10 times. Squirrel. Who's the buffer? Let me check. Roxborough. Okay, Roxborough's the county seat. Let's see, buffer. Dodie Sweeney asked, what do the courts do with all the money they get from bench warrants? He's asked 3 times. The money goes into the coffers. I don't know. It doesn't go straight to the judge. It goes to it's the same thing. It's like, what does your jurisdiction do with tax dollars that come in? Usually there's a set process where a certain type of money that comes in, whether it's lottery, portions they get from the lotteries that are people play in, whether it's property tax, whether it's sales tax, it's just another revenue source for the government, and sometimes it stays more locally within the agency where it's sort of retained from. And sometimes it goes into the big pot and goes to pay for parks and roads and you name it. It just has to do with the local laws, how that's written. Some money, let's see, bench warrants. We'll have to see. We might have to have somebody who has a little more experience, maybe who's had a bench warrant, can tell us the amounts and things like that we could follow the story and chase the money down that way. Okay. Driver called 911. Family car was broke down. The teenage son got hit and killed. His dad killed the driver and stole the truck to leave. Kathleen, road trip. This calls for a road trip. It really does. I've got to reach Roxborough County, Person County. You know this guy's going to plead guilty. There's no way he's going to take this to a jury trial. But if it does, oh my goodness, it'll be good. The driver was a correctional officer per the local news. He stopped to call 911, but the kid's father shot him. Wow. Good morning from Castledale, Utah. Unholy Saint, welcome. Good to have you here. Like your logo. Big Lightning McQueen fan myself. Oh, the horror that mom experienced that morning on the side of the road. Why do I feel the teenage son was in the middle of the road or something because the car was broken down? Guess we'll have to wait and see the facts come out. This story is bizarre. This is crazy. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to try to pull up Brandy's stream because we are going to watch. Let's see. That's her stream from today. Let's see. Where's her past live stream from yesterday afternoon? Let's see. Be rated. Here we go. Let's see here. Let me get a little audio here from Channel 3.
Detective Mogg, I think we left off at the end of the walkthrough. At that point, Mr. Randolph
Does this sound right?
This Rancho Santa Fe residence with his brother.
That's not working.
I believe
Hang
so.
on.
Okay, and then
You need the picture too, huh?
they left.
Yes.
I think you alluded to this, but there was possibly some further processing of the residents with the crime scene analyst that night.
There was.
I want to sort of shift gears here.
Thank you, Brandy. A big thank you. Okay, we're going to take Brandy's stream right now.
Interviewed over the course of your career.
Oh, look, I have a Lucy cam now. This is everything. I'm on with Brandy and a Lucy cam. This is my dream come true.
Thousands.
Has any of those people ever reported receiving a busy signal on 911?
Here's the objection. Okay, so this is where we were.
He's not qualified to give a discussion about that, to provide an answer or an opinion about 911.
It's not an opinion. I'm just asking about his experience as interviewing victims and witnesses.
Well, I mean, he can testify to his experience as a police officer.
Let me pause this for just 1 second because I want to say this.
I'm going to sustain that objection.
I can't thank Brandy enough for this. Honestly, this is huge. The fact she's willing to let me do this. I would ask that any donation you might want to make today, you make instead to Brandy. She deserves it. She has done just great work. She's amazing. I love her. Even if you prefer to watch with me, that's fine. I just encourage you to go over to Brandy's channel and make any donation there and just say, hey, thank you. RA thanks you and everything. This is big. This is huge for me. It means a lot. So I just ask you to do that. Thank you very much.
Have you ever had anyone report hearing a busy signal?
No.
In the residence, did you take note of where there appeared to be like landline phones in the residence?
I did.
And can you give us the approximate locations of those?
There was one in the kitchen dining room area, I believe. There was one in the master bedroom. And I believe there was one in the office area.
Okay, the place where he got the gun, that little room right to the left when you go in through the garage?
That's correct.
Okay. During actually I should say this. On the first night, were you called upon to move a vehicle out of the garage?
I was.
Which vehicle was that?
The Hyundai, I believe it's a Santa Fe, the SUV that Mr. Randolph was driving.
And what was the reason why that vehicle needed to be moved on the 8th through the 9th?
I believe they needed to do some more processing in there and photographs and that, and they asked me if I would back it out.
When you backed out the vehicle, did you notice whether or not music was playing loud?
I didn't notice that it was overly loud.
Okay. During Mr. Randolph's interview, he indicated that from the dinner at the charcoal room, that he and Sharon Randolph went to a gas station before they proceeded home.
That's correct.
Did you do anything in order to verify or secure the sort of the timing information on that?
I did. On May 13th, I went to the Funny's gas station, met with management. They provided me surveillance video of their gas pumps. I reviewed that video.
Okay. How did you know what video to ask for? Like, how did you track it to the transaction?
We looked for a timeline and then also for Mr. Randolph's vehicle arriving.
Okay.
I can't picture his
Did
face
you
right now.
like verify it with like a particular transaction at a particular pump?
Yes,
Okay. And that video was collected by you?
it was.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to admit and publish 315.
Objection to 315?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, 315 will be admitted.
Does that appear to be the Randolph vehicle at the pump?
I believe that's his vehicle at the pumps.
What's going to be funny is if I make a comment on Brandy's stream from yesterday. It's going to be like Inception. This is
My
funny.
thing is, even if the first call did, you know, if it was busy or something,
So on the
They said that's like
right-hand
1 in
side of
100.
The frame of the sort of surveillance, there appears to be a lighter colored SUV that just pulled up.
That's correct.
The Randolph vehicle.
Yes.
Your Honor, if we could just get clarification for the record, I think he's wrongfully identified the vehicle. Is that how
It's this vehicle, the lighter colored one. The other one wasn't wearing the correct clothing.
This is Brandy's from yesterday. I would ask that any donation or gift membership or something you wanted to make today, if you could go do that on Brandy's channel, just as a big thank you to her for letting us share this stream. She didn't have to do that. That's just the amazing person she is. So I'd encourage you to do that.
that's what I was thinking too. There wouldn't be a 12 or 13 minute delay.
Best part is I can have a conversation with Brandy. She won't respond, but we can sort of play off each other where actually she ignores me and I just keep talking. What are we waiting for? Did it like freeze? Why is it frozen? I think they had some issues with technology yesterday.
I thought they were about to lose their whole feed again.
Right now it appears to be pulling away. Detective, did you drive the distance from the that gas station to the Randolph residence?
I did.
And how long did that take you?
Approximately 3 minutes, depending on the light cycle. It's just under a mile.
And you drove kind of the most direct route there would be, I would assume.
I did. I pulled out the gas station, drove northbound on Rancho to Rainbow, north on Rainbow to Rancho Santa Fe to Mr. Randolph's residence.
At some point after during the course of this investigation, were there times that Mr. Randolph would call you on the phone? Do you remember him calling you and giving you some information about Sharon Randolph and gambling?
I do.
What was that conversation?
I believe it was May 12th that Mr. Randolph called me. I don't recall if it was on my cell phone or my desk phone. He had my card. But he told me that his wife, Sharon, had spent approximately $40,000 gambling in a 2-year period.
Do you remember him calling you to report other alleged missing items?
I do.
And what was the approximate time and content of that conversation?
So that would have been June 4th, the day after the walkthrough. Mr. Randolph called me to indicate that he was missing a couple of handguns, some jewelry, and some silverware. He kind of indicated that Mr. Miller may have been involved in those thefts.
And did he actually do a subsequent call a little bit later, sort of retracting that?
Yes.
And what was that conversation?
On June 23rd, Mr. Randolph called me to say that he needed to move on from his wife's death, and that he no longer believed that those items were stolen and didn't believe Mr. Miller was involved in that.
Did he ever call you to inquire about life insurance?
He did. On June 27th, he contacted me via telephone and told me that, well, he asked me if the case was still open, and then told me that the insurance company won't pay out until the case is closed or since the case is still open.
Thank you. Your Honor, I'll pass the witness.
Wow. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go with the condescending.
Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon, Mr. Orman.
Detective, I want to ask you about the initial responding to this scene. When you respond to a scene like this is a double homicide. There are a lot of law enforcement personnel that respond. Fair?
That's correct.
In fact, before you got there would have been patrol officers that arrived.
Absolutely.
There would have been, what are violent crime detectives?
So those are detectives who, they have a general specialty. They'll respond to shootings, aggravated assault, batteries, things like that. And they're there to gather the information, and if the person does not pass away, then they basically handle the case.
Otherwise, they
So in this case, violent crime detectives would have been present before you showed up, before homicide showed up.
I believe they were called by patrol.
Okay. So approximately how many law enforcement personnel, first responders would have entered into that crime scene? And when I say that, I mean into the garage, into the house. How many, before you did your walkthrough, how many do you think?
Normally it is, excuse me, it would be
he's going to die on the stand here.
4-ish responding officers who would go into the residence and clear the scene to make sure that it's safe for medical personnel to go in, because they won't go in until police officers have cleared the residence. So probably 4 in the area of 4 initially would have went in. And then after that, a couple of paramedics would have gone into the residence. Then once the victims are determined to be deceased, then normally everybody backs out and they secure the scene.
And when you say victims, you would agree with me, Mr. Miller's a murderer, correct?
I would agree at this point, yes.
Now, I realize that it's been a while, and so I'm going to ask you if you can actually give us a number for how many law enforcement personnel. I realize that you're sitting there, this is going to be difficult for you. Do you think if I showed you a copy of the officer's report listing all of those officers and personnel, that would help you refresh your memory?
Yes.
They want to show how many people were there in the crime scene. And they take every opportunity to point out that Mr. Miller is the one that shot his wife.
If you could just sort of count to yourself, and maybe we could do this while I'm up here, how many officers at the top responded?
So it looks like there's 10 officers, 2 sergeants, and a lieutenant.
Okay, so that would be 13.
Correct.
Okay. And then you have canine officers.
That's correct.
And appear to be 3.
3.
C detectives. When you say C detectives, major crime detectives?
That's correct. Those would be major crime detectives.
3?
Yes.
Homicide detectives?
6.
Could you turn the page? Crime scene analysts?
3.
Coroner's investigators?
2.
Mortuary personnel?
2.
Paramedics?
They have 1 listed.
And it's actually written in there, entered the garage.
Correct.
Ambulance?
2.
Okay, so fair to say.
So all these people moved the mask,
there
or
were
the gloves,
quite a few
the bullet casings.
Law enforcement personnel that entered that home at some time or another.
No, that's not accurate.
Okay, tell me why.
Because there's only a certain number of officers who would have entered the residence. The rest of the officers are on the log because they arrived, whether they secured the outside of the residence, blocked off the streets, sat with Mr. Randolph, whether they even had any part in anything other than just arriving on the scene. Their names would have been put down there.
Some people are just protecting the scene, making sure people don't enter. Is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. So leads me to another point. You said that some of them may be interacting with Mr. Randolph. Do you remember saying that right now?
Yes.
In fact, prior to you arriving, there would have been officers that actually questioned Mr. Randolph just to find out what's going on.
She's doing the bean counter. There would have been
I would assume so. I wasn't present for that, so I don't know for sure.
Using the protocol that you're familiar with, do you think major crime detectives, they would have at least done a cursory interview of Mr. Randolph to find out what had occurred inside?
I know they would have obtained information in order to brief us. Where they got that information from, I don't know.
Well, is it fair to say that at some of these more important scenes, that on the front of a patrol car, they'd actually use sort of a magic marker and write on the hood what was going on?
At times they do, yes.
Was that done here?
I don't recall.
Okay. But at some point when you arrived, you're briefed on what's sort of occurred and what you're dealing with. Right?
That's correct.
They write on the hood of the patrol car?
Yes.
Right.
Like a
and
big
you
dry
learned
erase
that
board?
Mr. Randolph was the individual inside who said he'd shot Mr. Miller.
That's correct.
So it's fair to say that at the time you're being briefed, there's people who've already obtained this information from Mr. Randolph.
I would assume they got some from him. Whether they got some from other witnesses in the area, I don't know.
Before I sort of leave this, Mr. Randolph was wearing clothing that day. We can see it.
As opposed to other days.
Impounded by you?
Was not. After I returned back to the scene with Mr. Randolph, I told the scene detective, Detective O'Kelly, and the crime scene investigator that we needed to photograph him and take a look at his clothes. That wasn't done.
And it was not done?
It was not.
Everyone just signs the patrol car. It's the weirdest thing.
I want to talk to you about, first of all, Mr. Randolph's statement on May 8th going into May 9th. And when I say that, you can see that we're in the very late hours of May 8th going into the 9th. Correct. Mr. Randolph told you that he believed the man he shot was a man named Michael Miller.
That's correct.
And you, in fact, confirmed that the man he shot was named Michael Miller.
Yes.
Mr. Randolph told you that he met Michael Miller approximately 5 months beforehand at a convenience store.
Approximately, yes.
And you learned that he had known him for that period of time, approximately.
Yes.
Mr. Randolph told you that he had hired Mr. Miller to do sort of odd jobs, sort of handyman type jobs.
That's correct.
And you learned that Mr. Miller, in fact, did some handyman jobs around the Randolph home, correct?
Yes, according to Mr. Randolph.
Okay. Mr. Randolph told you in the interview that, in fact, Mr. Miller had at one time gone to Colleen's home, that's Sharon's daughter, and had actually done some type of handyman job one time.
That's what he said.
Colleen.
I'll make that mistake. I say
Mr. Randolph told you that Mr. Miller didn't have a car but normally rode a bike.
Correct.
And before I segment away from there was a bag of clothing recovered near Mr. Miller. Do you remember this?
I do.
And in fact, the pants were laid out, and do you remember something distinctive sort of on the side of the pants?
I want a Zoe.
I recall the clothing in a bag, that there was a shirt. The other bag had a towel and a black bag, but I don't recall much other than that.
Let me see if it refreshes your memory. If it doesn't, there you go. There appeared to be sort of a ripping or tearing on these pants that were consistent with what law enforcement thought was riding a bike from a bike chain. Remember this?
So I don't recall that. Detective O'Kelly is the one that actually conducted the scene investigation.
Okay. Mr. Randolph told you that Mr. Miller had found a key at some point, and Mr. Randolph told him, "Give me my key back." Correct?
I know that he said he found a key. I don't remember if he said, "Give me the key back," or he gave the key back.
Yes, I would agree with you. It was too strong a statement. At some point, he indicated that he received the key back from Mr. Miller.
I believe that's what he said.
He told you he trusted Mr. Miller.
Yes.
He told you he had paid Mr. Miller and lent him money, didn't he?
That's correct.
And you learned that to be true, or to be accurate.
It's accurate.
I was literally singing this in my head. Colleen.
Mr. Randolph told you that Mr. Miller, he had been driving on May 8th with Mr. Miller, and he was going to go to the bank, but he'd missed the turnout. Didn't he tell you that?
Yes.
That's correct.
He told you that he and Mr. Miller had gone to look at jet skis.
We should sing together more often. She has a pretty voice.
Place on Rancho, didn't he?
Yes.
I call dibs on the low part, though.
Mr. Randolph told you he had been with Mr. Miller on May 8th before the incident, didn't he?
Correct.
Where have you been?
I've been right here the whole time.
He told you, Mr. Randolph, on May 8th, that he and Sharon had gone to the charcoal room, correct?
Yes.
And in order to verify that, because you wanted to verify that, you went to see if you could find video of
Isn't it Dolly Parton that sings that one?
At the
I
Santa
think it's
Fe.
Dolly.
I did not go to the Santa Fe. I don't know if another detective did.
You've seen video of the Randolphs leaving the Santa Fe, have you not?
I have not.
You have not?
No.
Okay. Mr. Randolph told you after he went to the charcoal room, he went to Funny's gas. Well, after he left the Santa Fe, they went to Funny's convenience store gas station.
That's correct.
So law enforcement went and obtained video from Funny's.
I did that.
And in fact, you saw the vehicle and you told the jury that's the vehicle.
That's correct.
Now, before I move any farther from that, Detective, in the hundreds of homicides you've handled, it's fair to say that you have had to obtain video from 7-Elevens, convenience stores, gas stations, casinos, lots of different sort of establishments.
That's correct.
And fair to say that not all the time is the video calibrated. The time is not calibrated.
That's correct.
And when I say that, just, I know you know what I'm asking you, but if we could just get clarification. In other words, just because you go to a 7-Eleven on Rancho and Charleston and get a video and it says 7:55, doesn't really mean if we get our Apple Watch out, that was the exact time.
That's correct. We always try to obtain the accurate time. We either use our cell phones or our watches against the time that is depicted on the video.
Would it be fair to say in this case with funnies, there'd be no way to do it? In other words, you go get the video, that's the time that it says it is, right?
A train horn just was blown right outside
No.
my house. Like
I actually would have looked at the live feed to look at the time that I picked the video up to make sure that it wasn't, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour ahead of time.
How far was it off?
I don't recall. I would have made note if there was a difference in time between the live feed and the actual time on my watch.
But you said you didn't recall.
I don't recall what the time was. Obviously on here, the time was 8:24 p.m. approximately. When I picked up the video is when I would have looked at the monitor and my phone or my watch.
Okay. So do you note in any report the accuracy of the timing of the video?
I did not.
Mr. Randolph said that he drove home and that he had to let Sharon out of the vehicle because it was too tight a fit into that garage for both of them to get out.
That's correct.
And when you observed that, you could sort of see what he was saying. Fair to say?
Yes.
He told you he let her out and that then he slowly went in, sort of following her to make sure she could get in. That's what he said.
Correct.
And you talked, without saying what they said, to a man named, or excuse me, there was a neighbor who observed the timing of this, named Mr.
Thank you.
I believe one of my partners talked to him.
Brandy got a super chat.
And he was actually on the phone. Do you remember that was something that you obtained with phone records? Maybe not you, but law enforcement did?
I believe so.
And you wanted to obtain that because it was important to the timeline, correct?
Yes.
Very important, right?
Correct.
Based on what Mr. Bartlett was saying he observed, you wanted to get those phone records so you could correlate what he had seen and heard against the phone records, correct?
That would be accurate, yes.
Do you remember what time the phone call between Mr. Bartlett and his friend, what time it started?
I do not.
Do you know what time it ended?
I do not.
Julie, it's not nonsense. We love your comments. Thanks so much for being here. 4 months. Thank you, Julie.
Mr. Randolph told you that when he went into the house, he observed Sharon at the end of the hall and tried to describe sort of where her head was.
Yes.
He said it was a little bit into the master bedroom, didn't he?
Correct.
When we saw that walkthrough, it appeared that carpet had been removed sort of where her head was. Did you see that?
There was quite a large blood stain there, and I believe that's why the carpet was removed.
Okay. And would that be done by hazmat?
Whatever company the insurance company hired to do that.
Okay, so at the time you're doing the walkthrough, we know that
I'm going to reroute my audio. Give me just 1 second.
Cutting out carpet, making sure that this place is acceptable for people to go live in.
There we go.
That's correct.
I have better control over it now.
Mr. Randolph told you that he saw something that spooked him. Something spooked him. It could have been, he even called it floaty. Something he saw spooked him. Do you remember him saying that?
Yes.
Do you remember him saying that he then got a gun from the bedroom where he was near?
I do.
And he tells you that as he comes out, he bumps in to Mr. Miller, correct?
Correct.
And then he says, he sort of pushes him away to get space, right?
Yes,
And then he shoots him multiple times.
that's correct.
He doesn't know how many times, does he?
I believe at one point I seem to recall him telling me that the pistol was loaded with 9 and he didn't remember the slide locking to the rear, so 8 or less.
So he told you he'd actually shot 8 or less, right?
I believe so, yes.
And Mr. Miller was shot 5 times, right?
I didn't attend autopsy.
So you just don't know how many times he was shot.
That's correct.
Okay. But he clearly told you, Mr. Randolph, I shot Mr. Miller. I shot that man, didn't he?
Yes.
He told you at one time that the mask, he says actually multiple times, he says to you and to Detective O'Kelly that something happened with the man's mask, sort of it pushed up, and he then describes maybe he couldn't see very well in it. Do you remember him saying that?
Yes.
And then he's asked, was the mask still on Mr. Miller when he was laying in the garage? And he specifically said, no, it was laying to the side. Do you remember him saying that?
That's correct.
And that's what the pictures show. It was laying to the side.
Yes.
Mr. Randolph says that he actually shot shots inside the garage. Didn't he tell you that?
Correct.
And in fact, you found cartridges in that garage, didn't you?
Yes.
He said that he had shot in the garage and he had shot Mr. Miller, he believed, in the head. Do you remember him saying that?
That's correct.
Did you see Mr. Miller's body?
Only a cursory view of him. I didn't look close.
You wouldn't dispute that Mr. Miller was shot, would you?
I would not.
But he did not shoot the deputy.
He told you that he had called 911, and in fact, he did call 911, didn't he?
Yes.
He told you that there was no doubt in his mind that Miller was going to shoot him. Do you remember him saying that?
I believe he said something to that effect.
He tells you several times, he uses the word, I'm basically deaf, or words to that effect. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you remember when he said, I didn't hear a first shot, I didn't hear this, I had music up and I'm basically kind of deaf? Do you remember him saying that?
I do. Mm-hmm.
He said all the right things.
Do you remember when he was talking in the walkthrough and he talked about how he thought maybe Sharon had fallen over shoes?
Yes.
Do you remember when he said, I wish that could have happened right now? Do you remember her saying?
I do.
Like in a loving way.
No. Are you kidding me? That was not in a loving way. Are you joking?
Attorney's like, what? I can't say that. Like in a loving way.
During
He
the
was
walkthrough,
complaining about her.
Yes. He's like, Sharon!
Are you
talking
joking?
about how it drove him crazy how she would leave these shoes out. Right? Do you remember that?
Not crazy like,
Yes,
oh
I
man,
do.
she drives me
And actually,
crazy.
do you remember him saying, it drives me
Crazy for her. No.
And I'd love for her to do it right now.
No,
I remember that.
That is not how he said that.
Do you remember in that first video,
I'm with
in the
Brandy
first
on this.
interview, there were a couple times where Mr.
Sit
Randolph
down.
pauses and doesn't answer your questions right away.
Yes.
When he's thinking up a story.
Do you remember Mr. Randolph saying that he thought Mr. Miller was ripping them off and he was referring to the night of the incident?
I don't know if he was only referring to the night of the incident or he was speaking about other times.
Later, he
Do you
said he
remember
might
in
have
the
been
first
referring to the night
interview
of the incident.
when at the very end you're asking you and Detective
you, Nurse
Hardy
Brigade.
where he's going to go, essentially where are we going to take
Nurse
him?
Brigade,
We're
you're
done.
amazing.
It's
Thank
sort
you.
of late in the it's the early morning hours of the 9th. What are we going to do with you? And he says, I don't want to stay there ever again, referring to the house. Do you remember?
Yes,
Yeah, he
Do you
moved
remember when
on
he asked
already.
you about funeral arrangements?
I do.
Yeah, and he pretended like it was the first time he'd ever done this
Now,
for one of his wives.
During the interview, you asked him about gloves. Do you remember? You wanted to know, I think it's Detective Hardy who says, hey, there's some gloves. Do you have any gloves like that? Do you remember that?
That's correct.
Okay. And he sort of says, yeah, we have gloves around the
Thank
house.
God.
Do you remember him saying that?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things you do as an experienced
Theatrix,
homicide detective
welcome.
is you request
Thanks for clicking the subscribe
forensic
button.
science, forensic testing on items, right?
Correct.
Like gloves, masks, things like that.
Yes.
Brandy is genuine. She comes with a little bit of spice.
Crap.
After the first interview, he took you and showed you where Mr. Miller
Tell us how you feel,
lived.
Brandy. Don't hold
That's
back.
correct.
And is in fact true? Is that, or did you learn that that's where Mr. Miller lived?
It was.
One thing I don't mean to nitpick, that it's not a snub nose 38. Have you seen it recently?
I just, a brief glance at it. Now that I recall, it had a 4-inch barrel.
Okay. He told you that the gun, he found this 22 underneath Mr. Miller's body.
Yes.
And that he had thrown it into this room, essentially so that he could be safe, and that this is also what he was being instructed to do in 911.
I don't recall the 911 operator telling him to throw it into a room. I recall Mr. Randolph proposing that he go look for the gun, and then the 911 operator, the fire department operator said, okay, go do that. Then Mr. Miller said, well, I picked up my gun. I have my gun, I think is what he said. And then he goes out and he's not speaking on the phone.
Detective Mogg, you said Mr. Miller, you meant
Mr. Randolph.
And so when you're saying that Mr. Randolph does that, would you'd let the 911 audio speak for itself, would you?
I would.
He doesn't want to talk about that. I didn't pay the Lucy Cam royalty fee earlier. I just went over to Brandy's stream and made a direct payment for that.
I'm so annoyed.
Do you recall in a prior proceedings calling the jewelry costume jewelry?
I believe so.
Or cosmetic jewelry.
Have you looked at that jewelry recently?
Recently?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
You're not, without being sarcastic, you're not a jeweler. You have no idea, right?
I am not. I only have to buy it.
Okay. And some of that's pretty valuable jewelry, depending on your
was a joke
financial
from him.
situation. Would you agree with that?
Some of
the jewelry that was laid out. Have you ever seen a picture of it laid out?
I have not.
They're coins. Do you remember coins? What looked like gold or silver coins?
I saw what was in the bag and what was in a jewelry box, and it appeared, not high-end jewelry to me, just something that I would call costume jewelry.
Okay. You told us that you went into this house and you did not see it as ransacked. Do you recall that?
I do.
Let me move backwards. I'm going to put on the screen what has been admitted as State's Exhibit 168.
In front of the machine.
He has been getting on my nerves since he got up there.
Bean. Look at that reflection. Push the blue button again.
Look, Streamlabs is telling me to shut up. Streamlabs is like, calm down, Brandy.
Even the bots are like, you're getting spicy.
What's this one's name? I know the other one is Josh Tomshek.
I can't remember his name.
Here's that
Do you
cosmetic
see,
jewelry.
Detective, I'm going to show you. Can you see that quite well?
I can see the picture, yes.
Do you see the coins that I'm talking about at the top left-hand side of it? Do you
Those
see
are like
that?
challenge coins.
It's about 4 coins in a row.
See the circular things. I can't tell you what they are.
Okay. Do you know if there's a solid gold antique watch in there?
I do not.
But that somebody says they're missing their solid gold antique watch. you would agree that that may be valuable.
Just me. This is the only feed
Well,
available
obviously,
today.
a solid gold
Brandy's
watch
allowed
would
us
be
to use it.
valuable.
If Colleen had told the jury that, you wouldn't have any reason to dispute it, would you?
I wouldn't have any reason to dispute if somebody said a solid gold watch.
Do you see a lot of gold depicted in that video?
I see a lot of gold metal.
Right, and you just don't know if. Okay, we can pick out anything there, and you wouldn't be able to tell me whether it was fake gold, 14 karat gold, 18 karat gold, would you?
I would not.
But there's a lot of jewelry there. Would you agree, whether you want to call it costume or what is a lot of jewelry there?
There's quite a bit, correct.
You're familiar with handguns, aren't you?
I am.
If somebody wanted a 38 Smith & Wesson 6-shot revolver, that's going to cost several $100s, more than $500 today.
Ooh, I don't know what the current value of a revolver is. I don't believe it would cost more than $500.
From Smith & Wesson, I bet it cost more. It wouldn't be less than $700, would it?
You're right.
You're just not sure, are you?
No, I couldn't tell you how much it was, but I don't believe it would be that much.
You could pick it up used
really
for
easy to
less.
look up, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay. We wouldn't have to dispute it. We could just simply.
That's correct.
Okay. There's two of them, right? There were two of them that were involved. Two Smith & Wesson revolvers, one a 22 and one a 38, were involved in this case.
22 is going to be less
Correct.
than $500. 38, probably more so.
Now, you were saying that you didn't see ransacking, right?
That's correct.
Used or hot, they're going to be cheaper. If you get like the ultralight, those can be a little spendy. Sold to the Durant's pink sweater. Trying to look up this case in North
Smith &
Carolina.
Wesson has a website, doesn't it? You can buy a gun online.
I believe so.
Okay. If I showed you the current price of one of these things, would that help? He said today it wouldn't cost that much. Okay.
Sustain. He was going to pull up the website, the Smith & Wesson website.
You saw pictures in that house of
in his cart and
drawers
order a
open,
gun.
didn't you?
Yes.
You saw pictures of jewelry boxes on the floor.
I saw empty drawers from a wall-mounted box.
You saw, how many drawers did you see disturbed in that house total?
Eight.
I know it was 8.
Mr. Randolph told you Mr. Miller had been in that house and had done work in that house, right?
That's correct.
He said that he had painted this area where the gun, this sort of, for lack of a better word, gun compartment was, correct?
Correct.
And you could see that there's some, like, for lack of a better term, sort of a paint
Good point, Tammy
differential.
Jimmy.
It looks like there's being a change of paint.
That's correct.
It's not very articulate, but you understand what I mean.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go through some of these drawers open. Now, I'm showing you State's Exhibit 117. That appears to be the master bedroom, doesn't it?
Yes, it is.
So there's one drawer open, isn't it?
Correct.
You could put your hand in there and pull something out, couldn't you?
If you zoom in on it.
Could you put your hand in there and get something out?
Sure.
You could be looking for money in there, couldn't you?
You could.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 105.
Sideways.
Still the master, isn't it?
Let's turn it. He's struggling with this projector.
And there, you see there's jewelry boxes or some type of boxes on the floor, right?
Yes, there's the 3 drawers from the wall-mounted box, and then there's another jewelry box, for lack of a better term.
How did that bed look before the Randolphs left to go to the charcoal room?
I have no idea.
You don't know. You just don't know, do you?
No.
I'm showing you 106, State's Exhibit 106. What's that flower object down there?
I think it was on the wall.
Door weight?
Okay. And then there's 3 other boxes, right?
Those were the 3 boxes that you saw from the other picture.
Okay.
A door weight, like a doorstop.
And I'm showing you what's being marked as 110, or admitted as 110. You see those drawers open?
Yes.
You see some type of clothing is sort of.
I think you have to move it over.
Can you zoom out or something?
I can.
So you can see the whole thing. Okay.
See that? Clothing on the side of the drawer?
I do.
Fair to say, Detective, that Mr. Randolph and Mrs. Randolph came home, and you wouldn't dispute Mr. Miller was in there, right?
No.
In your experience as a police officer, burglars get caught. Sometimes they get caught, don't they?
Yes.
Sometimes when you're in robbery, let's say, some bank robbers get away. Fair? They leave the bank and they get away.
Not very many.
That's correct.
Some have shootouts in the bank.
Yes.
Some get caught right in the bank, don't they?
That's correct.
So some people get caught right in the act, caught right at that time, right?
Yes.
Showing you what's marked as State's Exhibit 115. You see that sort of cabinet door in the center of the picture is kind of open behind the bed. Do you see what
Yes.
I'm showing you what's being marked and admitted as 116. See that in the bathroom it appears some drawers are ajar, for lack of a better term.
This is one of the things that I thought was odd.
Okay, I didn't ask you that. I said they're ajar, isn't it?
Yes.
I didn't ask you that. Quit giving information that's not helpful to my case.
You see in 123 some slippers sort of in the way of the door, don't you?
I don't think they're in the way of the door.
That's a poor question. You see them right there, the pink slippers.
Correct.
Not placed in the closet, but just sort of out. Right?
Looks like Sharon set that up so that TR would trip in the hallway.
Showing you what's being admitted as 124. You see this sort of console. Do you see that it looks like the door is just slightly ajar?
Yes.
Well, it looks like the guy was out ironing as well. That's clearly a sign of an intruder.
Showing you what's
I would
being
never have an
marked
ironing
and
board out
admitted
in
as
my house.
State's Exhibit 129. That's the gun, isn't it?
That's correct.
That's the gun he said he was trying to throw into a garbage can.
Yes, that's it.
And he was saying that he actually said the suitcase wasn't there, didn't he? He said, oh, I don't think the suitcase is some kind of clothing. Do you remember that?
Correct.
Got it wrong, didn't he? Suitcase was there, but he told you it wasn't.
Yes.
Didn't he?
He lied.
There's no importance to that suitcase whatsoever. Is there?
I'm sorry?
There's no importance to the suitcase whatsoever. He just got it wrong, didn't he?
That's correct.
Detective, when you talked to him the second time, the first and second time, he agreed to talk, didn't he?
The second time being a walkthrough?
Let's do it this way. The first time you talk to him, he says, you know, he talks to you, right?
Correct.
He talks to you, answers all your questions until you're done asking questions.
Yes.
He doesn't have an attorney there.
He does not.
He doesn't have somebody like Mr. Tomczyk there, does he?
I'm sorry?
He didn't have somebody like Mr. Tomczyk sitting there giving him advice, right?
He did not.
He did a walkthrough a week later, right?
Yes.
He showed up with his brother.
That's correct.
He didn't have an attorney there with him, did he?
No, sir.
He tried to answer your questions, didn't he?
Yes.
He told you at the end of the walkthrough that he was getting tired. His back was hurting.
That's correct.
So that getting up.
He
and
told
getting
you at the
down and
beginning
moaning.
of the video, I'm not. I just want to cooperate. Do you remember him saying that?
Correct.
And he did try to cooperate with you. In other words, he tried to answer your questions. He didn't say, I'm not doing this. I'm walking out of this thing, going to get an attorney. He didn't do anything like that, did he?
That's correct.
The doors, we saw the doors of a closet were off track, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't you tell the jury about the condition of the safe inside of that closet?
I didn't conduct a crime scene investigation. That would be a question you would have to address to Detective O'Kelly.
If there's a safe in a house, and there's a potential burglary, or there's been an attempted burglary, do you want to take a picture of the safe?
Again, I didn't conduct the investigation of the crime scene, so the question you're going to have to ask Detective O'Kelly.
Fair enough, because your responsibility that night was to question witnesses, or excuse me, in this investigation.
True Crime Junkie, you can do this today. We're with you.
Mr. Randolph.
Was that it? It wasn't to question other witnesses?
That's correct.
Who would be responsible for, would that be Detective O'Kelly?
That's who I just
said.
said.
To have to interview other witnesses like the Miller's family or anything like that?
I believe that was Detective Long, who also responded with us that night.
Okay. Did you actually ever go and interview Billy and Vita Miller?
I believe so. I believe Detective O'Kelly, or I may have went with my partner. I know I interviewed other people later in the investigation, not that night.
Without telling me what they said, you interviewed these people, and one of the concerns you had was looking for a mask, right?
Looking for a
mask, ski mask.
Correct.
Or a missing ski mask. See if you could find out where this mask had come from. Do you remember? At the conclusion of interviewing Vita and Billy Miller, you asked for consent to search their home for a mask, didn't you?
Yes.
And you didn't find a mask, did you?
That's correct.
Because it was missing.
But having interviewed them, Vita and Billy Miller, you thought it would be important to look for a mask in that house, right?
Correct.
Because one of the masks that night when you're interviewing, or excuse me, that day when you're interviewing Vita and Billy Miller, you begin to look for a mask, but this mask has a big hole so that the mouth would show. Do you remember this?
I don't recall that.
Did you look carefully at the mask in this case? The one that was right next to Michael Miller?
I did not. Again, that was Detective O'Kelly who conducted the crime scene investigation.
Okay, so it wasn't something you noticed. You didn't notice whether it looked like there was, like, it was almost sort of sewed together, the mouthpiece.
I did not.
That walkthrough. It was important to do the walkthrough so the jury could see exactly what happened, right?
Darth Vader.
It was important for us to do the walkthrough with him so that we could get an idea of the dynamics inside that hallway at the time that the incident occurred, at the time that Mr. Randolph said that he shot Mr. Miller.
So
one thing to explain it to me, it's another for me to watch you actually reenact and show me where you're standing.
Okay. How many officer-involved shootings have you ever responded to?
About 75.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And when I say officer-involved shootings, just so we all know I know what you're talking about, but what we're talking about is police officer has discharged a weapon and has shot somebody. Maybe it's fatal, maybe it's non-fatal, and you're responding to see why the police officer has discharged his or her weapon. Is that
That's
fair?
correct.
And you want to talk to the police officers because you want to find out, hey, why'd you discharge that weapon, right?
Yes.
But never have you ever videotaped or caused to be videotaped a police officer describing and doing a walkthrough on a shooting. Fair?
That's not true.
How many have you done?
Well, I was involved in one that I actually was the person who did the walkthrough.
Okay. How many videos have you seen done of officers that were involved in officer-involved shootings?
I'll take a ballpark guess here. 10, plus.
Out of 75?
Approximately.
Where you videoed walkthroughs?
Yes.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with the International Association of Chief of Police?
I am.
Is that the biggest sort of organization of police in the United States?
More like the management of police departments.
And they are an organization that gives you a guide on officer-involved shootings, right?
I believe they have one.
I'm going to ask you some statements and see if you agree with them. An officer involved in a shooting is perhaps the most traumatic event an officer will encounter during service. Do you agree with that? I agree. Such incidents trigger complex psychological and emotional effects. All too often, the normal coping strategies employed by individuals are inadequate for such extreme event. Do you agree with that statement?
I do.
Initially, an officer involved may be dazed and upset and have feelings of disbelief. Do you disagree with that or agree?
I agree.
Do you agree with the statement? The officer may have difficulty comprehending the reality or significance of the critical incident. From a few hours to a few days later, he or she may show signs of depression, tension, agitation, irritability, and fatigue. Do you agree with that?
Some do, not all.
We're all human and we all feel things differently.
That's true.
Officers that are involved in shootings have different reactions, right?
Yes.
Some can appear numb. Is that fair?
Some.
Some very agitated.
I haven't seen any that were agitated.
Crying.
I would agree, maybe some.
There is also a shock reaction period where the emotions concerning the incident become blunted. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
The officer may feel emotionally detached and numb, but also experience occasional anxiety attacks. Do you agree with that?
I don't know that I can say that I agree with that.
Okay. Additionally, emotional reactions may include confusion, impaired decision-making, loss of judgment, and slowness of thought.
Do we know what he's reading from yet?
And
It
when you
sounds like
say
an
that,
official
you're
document
referring
of some sort of
to
training.
Police officer involved in shooting.
after a shooting?
Yes, sir.
I don't know that I would agree with that completely.
Would you agree with the statement, typically within several days of the incident, a full emotional impact of the situation is realized, though this can be delayed by as much as 6 months to a year or more? The officer involved will typically experience an emotional and physical letdown. Agree with that?
I know that there are feelings that you have weeks, months later.
Do you agree with the statement? Some of the more common reactions are fear, anxiety, anger, rage, or blaming those responsible for the outcome of the critical incident.
All I can do is speak to myself, and I didn't have those feelings.
He's trying to,
Let's hear what.
You would also, as
Next
I'm
pause,
reading
Randy,
these,
tell us about
you would think this is
why
probably
this
a good
theory is
guide to give maybe less
on the final
experienced
question.
officers the understanding of what they're dealing with at an officer-involved shooting, right?
I think it's always good to explain to officers what could happen if you're involved in a critical incident.
Would you agree immediately following the incident, the department should provide physical and psychological first aid to involved personnel, including assignment of companion officer or peer counseling? The focus should be to support calming the stress.
Yes.
Is he
Do you
saying
agree
all
the
this should have
investigative
happened for
process and potential
Tommy?
consequences can be the most stressful aspects of the incident for the officers, and within the first few hours after the incident are often emotional and confusing? Do you agree with that?
Every officer, with the exception of one that I've interviewed in connection with an officer-involved shooting, has always been willing to talk to me and provide me the information I need so that I could complete my investigation.
Just like Mr. Randolph did, right? Mr. Randolph did that, didn't he? He talked with you, right?
Yes.
He
lied to you?
walked through with you, right?
Correct.
So he did, according to you, You're saying about 10, 15% you saw videotaped of officers involved in shootings. He did the same thing, didn't he?
That's correct.
He did it without an attorney, didn't he?
Yes.
When an officer's involved in a shooting,
They
they
have an
give him a
attorney.
representative, don't they? Union representative, maybe even an attorney, don't they?
Correct.
So that attorney could advise the officer about any potential consequences, right?
Yes.
Mr. Randolph did not have that, did he, at the time of the walkthrough?
He did not.
Did you say there was a landline in that house? There were 3 landlines?
I believe they're
Kayla, your opinion's welcome.
handheld phones.
Voice over.
I don't think anyone was attacking you.
I call them a
thank you for sharing
landline
it.
because they sit in a dock. So, yes.
On the night in question, after all these personnel have been conducting their business at that residence, it's fair to say that only 3 cartridges are recovered. Fair?
Again, I didn't conduct the investigation of the crime scene. You would have to ask Detective O'Kelly.
Would it surprise you, or would you dispute it, that it took more than a week to find 2 more cartridges?
I know that when we went back to do the walkthrough, we found additional casings.
During his first interview, Mr. Randolph, do you recall at approximately 12:19, Mr. Randolph holding his mouth area, like not pain, I don't want to say pain, but just sort of something's distracting. Do you remember that?
I remember him doing that on a few occasions.
And he said that he had bitten his lip or something along those lines. Do you remember that in the walkthrough? He said he bit his lip or something.
Yes.
And he said that's when he came in contact with Mr. Miller and maybe the mask, and it had gone sideways, gone up. Do you remember that?
I believe that's what he said.
If I could move backwards again to the officer-involved shooting. Have you ever heard of the Lewinsky, Mr. Lewinsky, an expert named Lewinsky?
I know him.
He testifies that officers often have difficulty recounting exactly how many bullets they fired.
Objection, this one's got some.
If he knows.
We can ask him that in the form of a question.
Sure. Is that part of Mr. Lewinsky's theory?
Objection.
Where did? There we go. There we go. Finally, we get.
Yeah, approach. Finally.
Sorry, we're gonna have to turn this down a little bit. Brandy, can you mute it on your end? Thank you. Now, what were you thinking about the line of questioning? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
He's making me so angry.
Why? Oh, never mind. We'll get your answer later.
Here's more of Tommy's notes. Look at him reading. I'm like, do I really have to read this crap?
Court's indulgence.
When we watched the video of Funnies, do you remember on direct examination, the prosecution or Ms. Weckerly showed you?
I do.
And then you said it
was
sort
the
of
gas station
ended. That
video.
was the complete video, right? Do you remember that?
I thought that there was another one with a different angle that showed the vehicle traveling north on Rancho, but that might be the only angle.
Okay. In fact, I want to show you this to see exactly when we lose sight of that vehicle. Can we do so? While he's looking for that, Mr. Randolph told you before he had gone to the charcoal room, he had dropped off Nicholas. That was his autistic, Sharon's autistic grandchild.
That's correct.
See, and stuff like that makes me want to
Do you
punch
remember
him
in a
right.
call that you had with Mr. Randolph on June 23rd, 2008, he told you that he was going to share the...
Objection, hearsay.
They brought out every portion of Mr. Rand. They brought.
Okay, they're allowed to. But when defense tries to
There's
bring
not
up,
a thing in the world that had to do with anything except for him wanting the jury to hear that. And I'm glad that he corrected himself, because that is not his grandson. That is Sharon's grandson.
this whole thing trying to make him sound like a police officer in a shooting where he was, doing
The
good.
only reason he did that was juror sympathy.
Okay. When you sweep a house, when you were a young patrol officer, did you have to sweep houses?
Yes, sir.
And when I say sweep a house, tell the jury what I mean.
It's clearing a house to make sure that no one's hiding inside the house.
How do we actually hear that on the 911 call, don't we?
I believe so.
After Mr. Randolph is ordered out of the home, it sounds like 2 police officers go inside to sweep the home. Is that fair?
Well, I don't know that you can tell how many officers enter the house. There would be a minimum of 2.
And what they're doing is they're going room to room, looking in closets, making sure there's nobody sort of hiding, right?
That's correct.
And that must be a very nerve-wracking process as a police officer. Is that fair?
It can be.
And it can take a while, can't it?
Yes.
Can take several minutes.
Yes.
And as a police officer, you want to make sure of that, like in this case, because there could be another perpetrator inside that home.
That's correct. That's what the officers are looking for.
And in fact, in this case on that 911, you hear officers like sort of commanding that if there's anybody inside, come out, that type of thing, right?
Yes.
You'd want to announce yourself as an officer so that people don't think you're some type of home invader, right?
Yes.
Now I'm going to go back to this video, and if we can watch the video, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's stifling the yawn. Oh, the videos again. Ella, I'm live. We're catching up with yesterday's on Brandy's stream.
I want you to
It's the
watch
only one available, and she's
Strike that.
amazing like that.
You agree with me that when you first started watching this video, you incorrectly identified the vehicle, right?
Yes, I incorrectly identified the dark vehicle that was parked here. It's the lighter car right here.
Fair enough. And so I want to watch, we sort of stopped it, and I want to continue on until we can't see that vehicle any further, okay?
Okay.
We're waiting for them to finish paying for gas. This is all part of a cover story, according to the state, where he was, filling up the car because they were going to be driving to Utah. Dude's just got a bag of M&Ms. He's going to continue his road trip, get back in his car and leave.
Yeah, Thom went through and did it all.
And so it's driving away.
Took him like
right
10
now,
seconds.
correct?
Cleared the whole
That's
house.
correct.
The police took half an hour, right?
Can you watch it until and let us know when you cannot see it any further? Because it's going to turn, right?
Yes.
Towards Rancho, right?
Correct.
There it goes. Frame by frame.
Still see it?
Yes.
Yep. Who turned out the lights?
What happened?
Now it's a magic trick. Now where's the car? It's like one of those magic tricks with like little cups, and you're trying to choose where the ball is.
We would also like to put in our own exhibit.
Oh, it's an incomplete video. Dun, dun, dun. The smoking gun is the remaining 3 frames of this video.
Commission of Defense, Exhibit A.
I'm sorry.
This is for the rule of completeness. There are a couple more frames of the car driving down the road that will completely change everybody's mind about this case.
Okay, so I want to keep watching after the state's video turned off. Do you recall that?
I do.
And you could still see the vehicle at the time the state's video cut off, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Here we go. This is what
So
we've
he's
been waiting
driving
for.
away, correct?
That's correct.
Use the mouse to show us where the car is.
8:26:21, correct?
Yes.
Here he goes.
I want you to tell me at the very time you can no longer see that vehicle.
I think that's the wrong vehicle.
It's come to a stop at the stop light.
So right now it looks like he stopped in the turn bay.
Okay?
Oh man. Look at these precious seconds adding up. This does affect the time frame of how long it takes to get home.
They're trying to close that time gap.
Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, Brandy, if they can draw that out and say it's not possible, but it doesn't change the fact that when the bullets were heard, when the gunshots were heard, boom. Wow. The precious seconds added to it.
Okay.
Okay, and what was the time? 8:27?
27, 23, 24.
Okay. So when you're doing the drive between Funny's and the house, okay, that would be the time we'd start that 3 or 4 minute process, right?
That's correct.
And you would agree with me, I've driven that several times. You would agree with me, it does depend on the lights, doesn't it?
It does.
It's like the turn-in lane.
Yeah, it was just a couple seconds more.
I am getting very close to done.
Thank God.
Do you think I could have a quick break just so I can make sure I'm finished?
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our afternoon recess. During this recess, you must not discuss or communicate with anyone, including fellow jurors or any grade regarding this case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media. You must not read, watch, listen, and news or media accounts or commentary about the case. You must not do any research, such as consult dictionaries, using the internet, or using reference materials. You must not make any investigation, test, or theory of the case, or create any aspect of this case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own. And you must not form or express any opinion regarding this case or the responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 3:10. We'll be in recess till 3:25.
Okay, Brandy, give us a theory of defense here.
All rise for the jury.
Specifically, why did they go down the whole police officer part? That just seemed weird.
Amanda 89 said, Brandy, you don't like this witness. I think he's grand. I love the witness. I don't like the attorney.
I don't like the attorney either, but I think he's doing.
I think the witness is fantastic.
Job.
The attorney is driving me nuts. But look how cute Lucy is.
She is cute.
She's very sleepy.
If you say her name,
being cute.
if you say her name, she's going to pop her head up and look at us.
Okay, may the record reflect our top customer jury, Detective Montague, excused for the recess. I just ask you not to discuss your testimony with anyone.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your Honor, on this break, it's defense counsel is very well convinced about the physical evidence because there'll be one witness and then the firearms guy.
Okay, okay. So are you guys in agreement with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Arm, if you had to guess, how much more time do you have? Okay, yes, and you agree, right?
Yeah, but not that long, like
Okay.
10 minutes.
All right, so and your witness who's gonna follow Detective Montague is here.
Yes, Chris, Amy's here. Yes.
Amy's next.
All right, so because we'll roll right into them, we won't take a break.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Anything else outside the prison? No.
All right. Break time. Brandy, speak to us.
So you guys can get that physical evidence.
Hey, Pam.
Hang on, hot mic.
Sophisticated. Thank you. I just didn't unbraid my sweaty hair after my walk this morning and change shirts.
It looks
That's
good,
it.
though. It looks good.
Sophistication.
Okay, theory of defense.
Is it fair to say you have a super cute braid today? Yeah. This is so it's so hot outside. And I took her for a long walk this morning. It's so hot outside that I get sweaty even early in the mornings. So I do a braid right here, and then I don't know if you can see it, I have a braid right here, and it helps to keep the hair out of my face. And then I got working on the podcast and did not shower.
Confessions.
So it's just sweaty hair.
Confessions.
But
by
you
Brandy.
can't tell when it's in a braid. That's life hack.
Life hack.
When
I'll have to try that.
you're going to be
I might have to braid my
mildly
goatee
sweaty,
here soon.
braid your hair.
First time I've talked about braiding my hair on the channel. Theory of defense, Brandy.
Look at
Do
Lucy's
you have
little
time to get into that?
Is she the cutest thing ever?
She is.
Don't you just love her? I just
do.
love her.
I do.
And she's so weedle bitty. I love this dog. So,
Theory of defense. Let's get back on track.
yeah, she snores. I've tried to get my microphone, like you can see, like it's attached, so I can't take it off and hold it down in front of her, but I've wanted to before because you can hear her sweet little snore. I just want to bite her. She's a little cutie.
She is.
All right, I'm like all up in invading her space. Let me see if I can
Don't make her mad because she can be vicious.
get Lucy Cam back. It's normal. She's like, get out of my face and leave me alone and let me rest.
Okay, Brandy, I can't help but think you're ignoring my questions.
Rest. Let me live. There she goes. Such a little doll. Okay,
Back on
so
track. Theory of defense.
this attorney, he is something else.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me curious. The whole thing about the officer involved shooting.
Yes.
Raise your hand if you think that came from Tommy and not him.
I'm with you on that.
And here's why. It sounds like some Tommy type BS, right? Because it's like I could see Tommy saying, oh, well, when officers do this, they have this and this and this, and they feel this and this and this. So why can't I? That's what I feel because that's what they feel. I could see this coming directly from Tommy.
Because he sees himself as the hero.
I would think that even an attorney with a condescending tone who is trying to do his job would know better than to compare that piece of trash to an officer of the law. So I think that was something that came from Tommy's notepad.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because even as condescending as this attorney is, I can see Tommy trying to explain away his idiocracy and his lack of emotion and all of that. I could see him trying to compare himself, because remember, grandiose narcissism.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him trying to compare himself to an officer going through that. But you know what the thing is? He is not an officer who was risking his life and got involved in a shooting. He is a piece of crap who is greedy and wanted insurance money and a house and murdered a wife.
I agree. Very few similarities between the two.
A mom and a grandmother and a friend, and didn't give one rat's patootie about how it affected anybody else. He cared about money. That's the difference in him and an officer involved shooting. So Tommy and his little stupid notepad needs to just sit over there and chill.
Okay. I'm with you on that. I can see that.
Lindsay Hendricks said, I believe he was trying to explain away his lack of empathy, shock, dazed and confused a week later to that of an officer possibly having a similar situation. Yeah. I can see him comparing himself to, I just fully believe that came straight from Tommy's little notepad.
We have some sort of inception thing going on.
Fur Baby's mom has been a member with us for 2 whole months.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Yep. Best
Furbaby
friends.
says, thank you for a great channel and the mods too. Our mods are amazing.
Give me 30 tears. Okay, here's what I have to do. I can't have Brandy
We have the
talking
best.
when she joins
Furbaby's
the
mom,
channel.
thank you for being with us for 2 whole months.
Okay, so
Kind of serious.
Hold tight. It's serious. It's like
All these anniversaries.
pretty long relationship here. Let's see if we can jump ahead just a little bit. Brandy,
Oh, you know what though?
What?
Oh, you know what? I hope that somebody in that jury has some kind of ties to somebody that they love in
law enforcement.
Yes,
that's what I was thinking.
And they're going to hear that and be like,
they're like,
This
nope,
dude,
you
really?
don't go there.
This dude?
That's just not cool.
I don't think that's going to go how he thinks it is. You know what's funny though too?
What?
Remember in the history lesson we did, the intro to the trial that I did with y'all, remember how I had those screen grabs where Tommy is telling his attorneys from the last trial when he got convicted, and he's telling them, I just don't think you got all the questions in there. I don't think, I think you could have done more. I think there could have been more questions. And I think, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, he was playing lawyer.
His attorney even said in that interview something about how, Tommy wants you to do what he wants you to do. He doesn't care if it's, if you have to be sneaky to get it in there. He doesn't care about abiding by the law or being, like how you get stuff in as long as you get it in.
Brandy, I have
to be on the up and up.
I have to pause you just for a minute because you showed up. I agree with you though. Tommy wants to be the lawyer and wants they said even if he's like in cuffs in the jail cell in the jumpsuit, he was in charge. He was in that lawyer-client relationship. He was still the guy who wanted to assert dominance and be in control. And so I think we're seeing that as well during this part where he's the notes he's writing are to the jury, to his lawyers, saying, hey, now we need to do this, now we need to do that. We'll jump ahead. Before we jump ahead to this, Brandy, first of all, since you're here, let me tell you personally, thank you so much for letting us use your live stream from yesterday. The feed that we were going to use online got taken down as we started this morning, and you stepping up and saying we could do that was huge. Thank you very much. We tried to send some love your way as a support. You're doing a good job. And honestly, it's a lot of fun to talk with you or at you as if you were here. So Brandy, thank you very much. We love you. I appreciate you very much for that. We are going to continue watching this because we have to get done before court starts today. I love getting your commentary, and I get a Lucy cam this way, which is just like the best of both worlds as well. So let's pick up right here where we dropped off. I don't know what just happened. Can you fix it?
Mr. Orm was talking
there we go. Thank you, Brandy.
About walkthroughs, and he had indicated that, in his question, he's asked if it was really very rare for a walkthrough to be videotaped. But I believe your answer was that on about 10 or possibly more occasions, you've actually done videotapes.
Thank you, Mammy17D.
Mammy17, you're awesome. Thanks for supporting Brandy.
At least 10 that were done. I've done a few with officers who have been involved
Thank you, Ricky.
involved shootings.
Appreciate you, my friend.
One that I was involved in that I did the walkthrough.
And why do a walkthrough? What is the purpose of doing a walkthrough?
Normally when we interview, I'll say a homeowner, for instance, and the homeowner says, I was standing here and I fired that way, and these are the different things that were going on at the time. It's easier if we have you standing there and showing us what you were doing as opposed to just sitting in a room and talking about it, because we don't get the reaction that you have if you're standing there and reenacting something for us. So another example would be an officer involved shooting. If an officer is standing in one position, he can point to the distance, approximate distance to where the suspect was standing. He can describe the movements of the suspect. He can describe and reenact his movements and show you which direction he was firing. A lot of times officers will recount just saying you know, bang, bang. They don't really remember how many times they fired, but when they reenact it, it comes back to them.
So often, like being back in the place and doing a reenactment helps people remember details that they might have not have been able to articulate like closer to the event, I guess I should say.
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you,
Thank you, Jen.
spoke to Mr. Randolph, at that time, obviously, as Mr. Orem concluded his cross-examination, you knew that he wasn't a police officer.
That's correct.
And he was a civilian.
Yes.
And over the course of your career, you have had the opportunity to interview civilian people who reported shootings.
Yes.
And people who reported shootings over the course of your career.
That's correct.
You have had the opportunity to interview civilian people.
Girl in the
who
gallery, I
reported
think, is
yes,
is from Court TV,
people
right?
Who reported shooting
Is
in
it Chan?
That's correct.
Chandler?
And you were able to make observations about Mr. Randolph, and based on your experience, the investigation moved where it moved.
Let's see if that's better.
Now, I think it was.
I tried to boost it.
Cross-examination,
It's good. That's good on my end. Brandon.
Mr.
Thank
Orem
you.
was asking you about the surveillance timing at the gas.
Shireen, I saw your super chat. Love from the 13th jurors back at the Addicts. I'm not sure why it didn't pop up on my screen. Hang on. There it is.
Financial
Thank you very much.
transaction was
Appreciate your
referenced
support.
in the officer's report in order to sort of cross-reference the timing of the video with the financial transaction, so you can kind of match up if the video is off.
Welcome, Kathy.
It was.
Do you recall what time the financial transaction was?
If I could refer to the report.
Yes. That would have been memorialized in Detective O'Kelly's report. If you can't find it, counsel, it's the middle of the page on page 25. I have
can't
it.
wait.
I can approach.
I've heard it's good.
I have it.
You have it?
I
You
do.
see it in the middle of the page there?
Yes.
Thank you, Shireen. We love Brandy. Her channel's amazing. If I were not live streaming, I would be watching her channel.
You looked at
all the time.
the officer's report. Does that refresh your recollection as to the timing of the actual money transaction for the gas?
Yes.
And what time was that?
2024 on May 8th, which is 8:24 p.m.
Okay, and then that corresponds with the surveillance that we're seeing as well?
Correct.
And had there been a big differential between the surveillance and the timing, the financial transaction would have been off as well, or wouldn't have been off, right? That one would have been right. You could calculate the difference.
We'll just leave it at that.
Surveillance.
That's correct. Plus, I would have noted it if there was a significant deviation in time.
Okay, and there's no notation of a significant deviation in time in the officer's report.
There is not.
I think they could do more to point out
Mr. Randolph,
what Tommy is not,
Detective Hardy,
how he's not similar to police officers.
on the 9th. Did he appear to have trouble hearing yourself or Detective Hardy?
Not at all.
Mr. Orem asked you about a comment that Mr. Randolph made about Sharon Randolph leaving shoes out in the residence. Do you recall that on cross-examination?
Yes.
Do you recall sort of what he described as an interaction in their household about shoes? Sharon's shoes, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, what was that?
Oh, yes.
He became visibly agitated and used profanity and banged on the wall.
And that was about like sort of remembering Sharon leaving shoes out?
Yes.
Agitated, not loving.
Now, with regard
Agitated.
to the jewelry, you were asked questions about, you were shown that photo of the jewelry laid out on the table.
Correct.
Would you defer to Sharon's daughter, Colleen, describing the worth of the jewelry as she may be more, I guess, I don't want to say more aware of its value than you were because of the relationship with her mother?
Absolutely.
Now, Mr. Oram showed you some photographs.
I want to hear this lullaby. We did a brief duet earlier, Brandy. I'm not sure if you heard that.
I'm going to put on the overhead what's...
With the Colleen song.
Now what?
And I think you asked to have him zoom in on this drawer.
I did.
Okay, I'm going to zoom in.
We all love
Is that
Zoom.
close enough?
Yes.
What were you wanting to explain about this drawer?
So it doesn't look like anything in that drawer is disheveled to some point where you're digging through there looking for items.
Because the door is open, but there's nothing like tossed out of it.
Correct.
Another photo that was referenced on cross-examination, I think you said it struck you as odd. This is States 116. Let me zoom back out. Looking at that photograph, was that another one that you referenced as looking odd to you?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because these are also small drawers. And why would you only open them part way when
Thank
you
you, Alyssa.
completely pulled the other drawers out of the small box that was hanging on the wall? It just seems like if you're going to pull one set of drawers out, these also are not affixed to that box, and they could easily be pulled out.
So would you have like expected these to be pulled out and all the way on the floor?
At least some of them pulled out. If there was something in them, dumped out, gone through. These just seem like they were randomly pulled back.
And then now I'm putting on the overhead what's been admitted as States 126.
I do need a support dog. Where's Zoe?
We're in that office area.
I need Zoe
Does
here.
that room appear to be disturbed?
No.
I know Detective O'Kelly was in charge of the scene, but do you recall whether or not you saw like a bicycle at the scene? Or would you defer to him?
A bicycle?
I did not
A
see
bicycle.
one out in front of the house. I would have to defer to him for the back.
That's something I was wondering too. If there was a bike at the scene.
Mr. Orm asked you at the
Possibly
very
in the
beginning
back
of
by
the
the back gate.
cross-examination.
Not in the front yard. It happened again. What's the cameraman doing? Is it on your side, Brandy?
They need to get it together.
No kidding. It's frustrating. We're trying to watch here.
He asked if Mr. Randolph suggested to you that he had been hired to do odd jobs, and then there was some conversation about odd jobs. Do you remember that sort of series of questions?
I do.
None of those facts would preclude Mr. Randolph being involved in his wife's and Mr. Miller's murder, would it?
No.
That would be a good soundbite. Brandy, can I steal that for a soundbite?
Thank you, sir. That concludes.
Man, Live and I agree. I think they had more power in this witness that they just didn't capitalize on. They could have used it for more effective. I think he has some snark in him that he could have been a 1-2 punch.
Detective.
If they had given him the right
The
setup.
bike wasn't located, was it?
No.
I didn't think so.
So did Tommy
In
give him a
your
ride?
experience, robbery, burglaries, some people have getaway drivers, don't they?
That's correct.
Here's another list of things that might not have happened.
Was there any vehicle associated with Michael Miller with that evening? In other words, that either got him there or
was going
to take him away?
Only Mr. Randolph's.
Mr. Randolph had driven his wife, we can see that, from Santa Fe to Funny's and then home, right?
Correct.
Mr. Randolph calls 911, right?
Yes.
So what I'm asking was there any investigation done by you, or if you're aware of any, about any potential getaway driver for Mr. Miller
I did not conduct a separate investigation as to whether or not there was a separate getaway driver for Mr. Miller.
What type of vehicle did Mr. Miller's girlfriend drive?
I don't know.
Nothing further.
This guy's.
Do the ladies and gentlemen of the jury have any questions?
Please, please.
You can write your question on the
Yes. Yes.
Jury questions.
We got him. He got him.
Jury questions. I keep turning we had CC for a minute and I keep turning it on and it keeps turning back off.
Yeah. It's doing a poor job today anyway. Okay, here come some questions. Let's pray that they're good. The drama in that last little bit.
Don't you look at me.
Sorry.
Love me some jury questions.
You look sleepy.
Oh, I guess I'll take our poll down that since our cameraman finally came back. Kathy B, 3 whole months.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for supporting Brandy.
Look, every time I do that, Lucy looks at me like, what are you doing? Be still. What's your problem?
Is it loud on Lucy's end too?
Look, is he falling asleep? Oh my gosh,
He
I
does.
just
He looks
want him to
tired.
fall and hit his head on the table.
I did
Doze
that.
off, Tommy. Doze off, Tommy.
Maybe if you could sing to him.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep and hit your head. What are they doing? Go
That was
back.
pretty good.
Go back to Tommy.
That's Dan. He's the producer. He's with Dateline. I think. No, why is his
back to
hair is
Tommy.
curly? There we go.
Go. I hope you're crying. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go to sleep and hit your head on the desk when you fall. Look, then what if he would y'all just if I was singing that and it actually happened, could you imagine it actually happening?
I could. It's a good lullaby.
I would flip out.
At any point during your
That'd be
interview
amazing.
or walkthrough or contact with Mr. Randolph,
I'd never heard that lullaby before, Brandy. I was literally just winging it. I didn't know what the words were going to be.
state any follow-up based on the jury questions.
What was it? I missed it.
Defense, any follow-up based on the jury questions? All right, do you have any other questions, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? You can write your question on a 4-sheet of paper with your name and your jury number. Counsel Peter Birch.
Okay. One more chance at going to sleep, maybe. Possibly.
Good question.
What was the
Did
question?
he ever show any type of emotion? Nope.
Zero.
Look at him over there
That is
writing
a
his
good question.
stupid notes.
He's like,
He's writing his commissary list.
Next time, show
3
emotion.
packs of chili flavored ramen noodles. 2 honey buns.
Were the drawers dusted for fingerprints?
That's something I can't answer. That would have to be addressed to Detective O'Kelly.
This morning.
Good question.
What's a good question?
Follow up on that, Ms. Rivers?
I know you just briefly walked the scene, but are you aware of whether or not Mr. Miller had gloves on when he was found in the garage?
He did.
Thank you.
Just one question on that.
Okay.
LEB,
With
thank you.
regard to emotion, you remember the 911 call, right?
I do.
You remember hearing Mr. Randolph screaming during the 911 call?
That never happened in front of me.
Okay, that's not my question. When you listen to the 911 call, you hear him screaming, don't you?
You hear that on the 911 call.
You hear him screaming, "Oh God, Sharon." Do you remember that?
It's more like yelling
When
at
he
Sharon.
rolls over the body, you hear his reaction.
Objection, Your Honor.
For real.
Okay, any other questions from the ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Okay, seeing no response, Detective Long, you are excused. Thank you very much for your testimony the last 2 days.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Statement all the next witness.
Call Amy Corn.
Amy.
Good job, Detective Mog. Enjoy your retirement.
Yes,
You
it
have
starts
earned
now.
it, sir.
Last week was first day of
Tommy, you
retirement.
turn your face around. Don't you look at him.
Don't look at her. Don't. Just let him enjoy his retirement. He's earned it. Tash, yes, we're all here. Brandy's here twice.
Yeah, he's crude. Not a fan. don't like him. And you're right, Jen. That was not the question. They didn't ask anything about the 911 call. They said while
Did he show any
he
emotion?
was with him, while he was.
solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please be seated.
That's his regular order, I
Can you
think.
state and spell your name for the record, please?
Amy Corn, AMYCORN.
Hey, Amy.
Thank you very much. Could you please let the jury know what you do for a living?
Coordinating ties. They both wear yellow.
Police dispatcher professional.
All right. When did you join Metro?
September 2004.
How many years have you been working for Metro?
Going on 19 years.
So 19 years. Have they all been within dispatch?
Yes.
Thanks,
Can
Lyden.
you tell the jury
Appreciate
a
you.
little bit about your job responsibilities?
Sure. We receive the 911, 301 calls through our dispatch center. We'll receive the call, interview our callers, determine what kind of police response is needed. We will then send that call over to our dispatchers, and then that call will be dispatched to the officers in the field.
Okay. You said you've been working for 19 years. Did you work with Metro during 1 October?
Yes.
Okay. Were you working that day?
Yes.
Did you handle call volume on that day?
I was a dispatcher.
Oh, so you were actually getting the calls.
I was on the radio side, dispatching officers for that call.
Okay. I want to ask you a little bit about high call volume. Have you ever had a situation where there were so many calls coming in you couldn't take all the calls in your 19 years of working for Metro?
Thinking like
1
spitballs.
October.
Okay, was that in the 19 years, is that the only time you can recall your system being unable to handle call volume?
Yes.
Specifically, were you working for Metro on May 8th, 2008?
Yes.
Do you recall there being such high call volume on that day that Metro couldn't handle 911 calls on that day?
No.
I want to turn your attention. You received a subpoena in relation to a phone call, a 911 call placed on May 8th of 2008. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was under event number 080508003131. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. What does the
It's back for a minute.
080508 stand for?
It'll be the year, the month, and the date.
Okay, so that's 2008, May 8th. Is that correct?
Correct.
What does the 3131 stand for at the end?
That'll be the incident number that is issued for the call that's once it's generated. Each call will get assigned an event number or incident number.
Okay, so the very first call of the day would be, 000001 at the end, correct?
Correct.
So this was the 3,131st call of the entire day, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Thank you, Dog Mom.
3,131st call.
Of the day?
Have you had an opportunity to
That's a lot of calls.
listen to the 911 call from that day?
Yes.
All right. At this time, we are going to.
Wonder how many of them got busy signals the first time they
I
called.
believe there's no objection. Stage for post 324.
No objection. My wife got me, knowing that we're going to watch a video, or at least an audio of the 911 call, she got me some treats. She got me Whoppers to eat.
Okay. When I said the call from that day, I know there were 3,131 calls. However, I'm referencing that particular event number ending in 3131.
Here you go, Peter Ware. Here's the
You've listened
fake
to that
911 call.
specific
Correct.
Okay. At this time, we're going to play that 911 call.
What is the number on it?
324, Your Honor.
Any objection to 324?
None at all.
I hope you all have your treats. Snacks are key, I do.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, 324 will be admitted and permission to publish.
I'd be a terrible 911 operator. I'd be like, "You're doing what? Oh my God!"
May 8, 2008, 20 hours, 44 minutes.
We're watching the screen. Nothing on it.
911 emergency, Hernandez, 242. My wife's been shot and there's a guy in my house and my son has his. Is he hurt too? Is he hurt too? Yeah. Okay.
He's dead.
What's your name? What's your name, Colonel?
Wait, can I hold on? Can we just?
What?
Sorry, can we go back 10 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
This records before They even pick up, and I didn't hear if he was breathing on there or not.
911 emergency. May 8, 2008. 20 hours, 44 minutes, 54 seconds. 911 emergency, Hernandez, 42.
Nope. He started the fake breathing after she finished.
Oh, now you're awake.
Is he hurt too? Okay. What's your name? What's your name, Colonel? Where's your wife in the house?
Just like Alex Murdoch.
In the house in the bedroom. She's been shot bad.
Shot real bad. They did real bad.
I didn't even hit. I see the move over and start doing this. She's a nurse, so I don't know what to do exactly. Okay. And is the guy still in the house, do you know? So he's in the garage. He quickly by and ran on out. I know that he's ripping out. He started ripping out.
He's listening to his performance.
Do you know what his name is?
He only breathes fast when he's not talking.
Is he white, black, and Xanax? How old is he now? I don't know, 40s. He's laying on the ground, he didn't get up? Yeah. He's laying on the ground, he didn't get up? He's in the garage. Okay. I gotta comfort you with medical too, okay? Don't hang up.
She finished her whole speech
2008.
before he started that nonsense.
6 minutes, 24 seconds. Fire department. Hi, it's Metro. I have a conference. His wife is shot in the head. He needs medical attention. Sir? Yeah. Is she awake? No, she shot me in the head. I don't know for sure. That's why I'm CPR. Okay, put her flat on her back. Shot me in the wait a minute. How many people were shot? There's two. There's two. The guy that ran it out with her. Okay, where's the other guy? Where's the guy you shot? He's in the garage. He was running out the garage as I was sitting out. And I was coming in. Okay. Is he dead or where is he? I don't know. Okay. I just shot him a bunch of times and he had a gun in him. Okay, let's focus on your wife. Who shot your wife? He did? He did. Okay, put her flat on her back. Put her flat on her back. Should I try to find that gun or something so they don't shoot him if he's not dead?
Comes and goes.
Did you make sure that he left, or you're not sure if he's still in the garage? He's in the garage, I can see, but is he moving? No. Go get his gun. Go get his gun quickly. Are you alone? Yeah. Okay, be careful, but get the gun. Be careful, but get that gun away from him. Is he alone? Yeah, a little short, no, I was good shot. Okay, be careful. I'm gonna put this thing down to my gun.
Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of moaning here soon, unfortunately.
Okay, you got his gun away from him? Yeah. Okay, let's focus on your wife. Put her flat on her back. I'm gonna walk through the rock so you can get in. Okay. Sir, you gotta do this with her. Okay. Put her flat on her back. Oh, fuck, there's blood everywhere. All right. I'm gonna help you, but I need you to listen to me. I'm trying to help her. You gotta listen to me so we can try to help her. Okay, put her flat on her back.
That does not sound loving.
Sir, can you hear me? Sir, come back to the phone. Everywhere. You got blood everywhere? you are, I need you to try to.
It's a boy.
Like a dang goat screaming.
Law Talk with Mike would be proud.
Okay, we need to start doing CPR. Did you get her on her back?
The rapid breathing starting and stopping is killing me.
Okay, just put her on her back. I want you to tilt her head back, okay? Okay. Did you do that? Okay, tilt her head back. How do you do that? Okay, tilt her head back. Listen, okay? We're just going to do compressions, okay? Okay. All right, now listen, I want you to find the center of her chest, okay? Okay. All right, right between the nipples. You're right. Just place the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the center of her chest, right between the nipples. Put your other hand on top of that. I just want you to continue to do compressions. Keep doing them. I should open the garage door. No, keep doing what I'm telling you to do.
I should open the garage door, shouldn't I? That's what he's thinking.
Mitchell, tell your units to go in any way they can. We gotta continue to do this. Let them know the benefit here, he says.
I'm going to pause it for 1 second. At this point in the call, do you hear the caller starting to do compressions on his wife or on the person that he's dealing with? Okay. But he is being directed to do that, is that correct?
Correct.
What's the time on that? Can you tell me how many, if you look on your, can you see it on your screen there? How many minutes have elapsed?
6 minutes and 44 seconds.
Okay. Do you recall the caller asking whether he should go lock the front door?
No.
During this call?
If you should lock the, I'm sorry.
You should go and lock the front door. Do you recall him saying that on the call?
No.
Open the garage door, he said.
You gotta count as you're doing it. Count.
I'm going to go back a few seconds.
Look at him writing his stupid notes.
He's writing his Emmy
Listen, okay?
nomination speech, acceptance speech.
Okay. All right, now listen, I want you to find the center of her chest, okay? Okay. All right, right between the nipples. Right, just place the heel of your hand on the breastbone in the center of her chest, right between the nipples. Put your other hand on top of that. I just want you to continue to do compressions. Keep doing them. I should open the garage door. No, keep.
Did you hear that?
Yes. Sorry.
Doing what I'm telling you to do. You need to do this. Mitchell, tell your units to go in any way they can. We gotta continue to do this. Let them know the benefit here, he says. Sir, you gotta count as you're doing it. Count.
Count out loud.
Sir, you gotta count.
He can't count because he's not doing it.
Sir, can you open the door? Sir? Sir?
He's talking about the freaking door again.
Sir? Sir, can you hear me?
Child of God, I'm live.
Go open the front door. Go open the front door quickly. Can you open the door, sir? Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, he sounds about as loving as Sarah Boone did in her video too.
You took his, and the PR took his gun, okay? Huh?
Yeah, they advised them that already.
I'm ready to hear that, Denny Dawn.
For the record, I'm pausing at 8:27. There's another 10 minutes of this call. Is that correct?
Man, please no. Tell me
And I
no.
think it kind of runs until ultimately it's disconnected. Is that okay? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You mentioned that you've worked for dispatch for 19 years. Is that what you said?
Correct.
On average, how many calls have you heard on average in a year?
Hundreds.
Okay. Have you often heard calls where someone is calling where someone's been shot, offering to do things in the alternative other than trying to resuscitate somebody?
No.
And you've been doing this for 19 years.
Yes.
You've also reviewed what's called the CAD log in this case. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that is a log that does what? What does it kind of track?
It's going to track when officers arrive, en route, what's been updated by the call taker, date, time, stamped.
Okay. Let the record reflect and show opposing counsel the manifestation proposed 125.
I'm halfway through
This time
my
we ask permission to
Whopper
admit stage
body.
proposed 325. Thank you. May I approach the witness?
Yes.
Why don't you take a look at this first page here? There's usually like a series of codes that are here that kind of, they're shorthand, is that right?
Yes.
What's the code for arrival when an officer arrives?
AR.
Okay, do you see the first entry where an officer arrives at?
Yes.
And when is that?
At 20:50 hours.
Okay, so that's a 24-hour clock, so that means 8:50 at night.
PM. Correct.
Okay, so about 20 minutes earlier than around from 8:30 at night.
Correct.
Okay. I just see that. And if you look at that mouse, if we can cue over. And if you could see if this.
So, I'm live right now. Brandy's letting us use her stream from yesterday because the other stream was taken down off YouTube. So thank you very much, Brandy. Brandy is live in chat, so it's a little bit weird, but it's a lot of fun.
That's better. Can you show us where you saw that indication that an officer arrived at 20:50? Maybe take your mouse. Show us.
Arrived at 20:50 and AR for arrived.
Okay. Thank you very much. I have no further questions at this time.
No, sit down.
Good afternoon, Ms. Korn.
Hello.
You've been doing this 19 years, huh?
Yes.
Okay. So horrible math, but back in 2008, you hadn't been doing it 19 years, right?
Correct.
About 3.5, 4 years at the time?
Correct.
Okay. Just to be clear, you're not given any actual responsibility for this call, right?
Correct.
You're not on the phone, correct?
Correct.
You're not dispatching anyone to this call, right?
Correct.
You're not in any way involved in the investigation of this event that took place in May of 2008, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know how it is that these prosecutors selected you to come here and testify?
I'm currently custodian of records.
Okay. Custodian of records is someone that maintains documents in the ordinary course of business at a business entity, right?
Correct.
And so when Metro gets a subpoena and someone's to come to court to talk about Metro records, you are one of the people that can come to court, correct?
Correct.
And I'm assuming in preparation for your testimony, you had an opportunity to talk to the prosecutors in this case, right?
Correct.
And Mr. Hamner, the guy that just asked you questions, you've actually spoken to him a few times, right?
Correct.
And he told you, I'm going to ask you these questions, right?
Correct.
Like how many times in your career has someone done X, Y, Z, right? And he told you, I'm going to ask you at this point on this particular tape, do you hear someone giving chest compressions, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so you knew that question was coming and you knew what your answer was going to be, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a chest compression sounds like?
No, I cannot.
Because a chest compression doesn't have a sound, right?
Right.
You'd agree with me that in preparation for your testimony, you actually listened to the audio of this 911 call, right?
Yes.
And you hear a man who's clearly in distress. Yes.
Yes.
Crying. Yes.
Yes.
Screaming. Yes.
Yes.
Asking for help. Yes.
Yes.
And you hear kind of a rhythmic breathing sound, like a at the time he's told to give chest compressions, right?
I hear someone that sounds out of breath.
Yeah, you'd agree with me. You hear that sound, right?
Correct.
You'd agree with me if someone's involved in a shooting where they've just taken the life of someone that killed their spouse, they might be out of breath, right?
Possibly.
Okay. And in fact, someone giving that rhythmic breathing in like a consistent fashion, they might be given chest compressions, right?
Possibly.
Okay. When you told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that you didn't hear anyone in that audio giving chest compressions, you really have no idea, do you?
Correct.
Okay. The state also asked you a question about when in your experience has Metro's system not been able to handle the call volume. Do you remember those questions?
Yes.
Okay, and you gave us an example, right?
Correct.
And that was 1 October, right?
Correct.
When a whole lot of people were calling into 911 related to a massive event, right?
Right.
And the system wasn't able to handle that event, right?
Correct.
Okay. You know, don't you, that if someone doesn't have the ability to utilize a phone line, it doesn't matter whether your system can handle the call, right?
Right.
For instance, if I don't have service on my cellular telephone because the battery's dead or I'm out of range and I dial 911, you're never going to have a dispatcher pick that up, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And likewise, if I have a voice over internet protocol provider, an internet phone service, and I dial my number, but my service is down, your 911 operator is never going to hear that call either, right?
Objection, it'll be beyond the scope of expertise.
She was
Beyond
just
the
about
scope.
to answer.
Well, I think this line of questioning was brought up during her direct examination as to whether or not they could miss a call. So I'm gonna allow her that objection is overruled. Maybe you can answer the question.
We do receive calls that are disconnected on like a 911 prefix phone. Those do come through.
Okay. I'm saying a call on a voice over internet protocol where the internet gives me a voice service. If my internet's down, that call can't get to you, right?
Right.
Okay. So if I have one of those providers and I'm trying to dial 911, but there's no line to get to the 911 dispatcher, it doesn't matter because you're never going to hear it, right?
Right. With no internet service.
Right. That's accurate, correct? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. There's a couple things that Mr. Hamner asked you, and I wrote down some specific times. When he went back and played that audio for you at 6:36.
Ooh, stop
person
smiling.
on the call says, should I go open the garage door, right?
Correct.
You have an understanding that that person's trying to get help into the residence, right?
To let officers or medical in.
Right. And he's saying, I can't do it. There's so much blood. You can hear him struggling to get her turned over and following the instructions. You hear that, right?
Yes.
Okay. You'd agree with me that opening the garage door is one way to let people in, right?
Yes.
Okay. And it appears that that's what he's trying to do, correct?
Possibly.
Okay. Let's talk about the CAD report.
Okay.
The CAD report stands for Computer Aided Dispatch, right?
Yes.
And that's a document that's generated through a computer system. When a call comes into Metro, someone's putting information in a computer, right?
Yes.
And that information is being relayed to responding officers and medical personnel, correct?
Correct.
That way they can know what's going on at the scene they're coming up to, correct?
Correct.
And there are things that are given to those calls, like 400 codes, correct?
Right.
And you know what a 400 code is, correct?
Yes.
Is
A
that
400 code is one that's assigned by Metro to a particular type of call, right?
Right.
If I say 413, what's that mean?
A gun.
So like
Personal
if I'm saying that there's someone with a gun, I might call 911 and say, help me, there's someone with a gun. And the dispatcher would type to the responding officer, 413 in progress, right?
Right.
What's 419 mean?
Dead body.
So in this particular case, there's actually communication on the phone line between Mr. Randolph, the guy who calls the 911 system, and the other person on the line about whether or not the guy's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And because you've reviewed the CAD, you know that that's entered in there, confirmed 419, right?
Yes.
And 413 related to someone being there with a gun, right?
Yes.
Because in real time, as he's communicating in words what's going on, someone's typing that down in the computer system, right?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Hamner asked you about a 2-letter code, and those are throughout the CAD report, right?
Yes.
And they include things like ER, right?
Yes.
AS, correct?
Yes.
And I think you talked about AR, right?
Yes.
What does ER mean?
En route?
Meaning I'm on my way, I'm going to put that in, I'll assign myself that call, right?
Yes.
What does AS mean?
Assigned?
Meaning that person's assigned to that particular event number, right?
Yes.
And you told us already that AR means arrived, correct?
Right.
Okay. I think you told us that someone arrived at that residence at 2050 hours, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I want to back up just to the inception of the call. Okay. It's been represented to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that the call originates at 2045 hours.
Yes.
Okay. You'd agree with me that corresponds to when it's entered into the CAD system, right?
Right. When the call is generated.
On a 911 call, you've probably heard it a million times. I know I have. That little kind of computer voice where it says the time of the call in military or police time, right?
Right.
Okay. What's the time that voice says at the beginning of this call?
I'd have to re-listen to it.
Okay. If it said 2044 hours, you wouldn't dispute that, would you?
If it said that, no.
Okay. But when we say 2045, that's when someone actually is typing into the computer, correct?
Correct. When it's generated.
That happens after a call is placed, right?
During a call.
It's assigned into the computer after the call is placed, correct?
Yes.
After someone makes a few representations on the phone, right?
Right.
And then it's entered into the computer, right?
Yes.
Okay. So to say it starts at 2045, the process actually begins before that, right?
Correct.
You don't have any idea what time they actually dial 911, right?
We'd have to look. I don't know offhand, no.
Okay. You made the representation that someone arrives at this call at 2050 hours. Yes?
Correct. Yes.
Did you look at the CAD report as to when someone actually went in the residence at 6517 Rancho Santa Fe?
No, I just looked at the arrive time.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that there was a long period of time when people couldn't get into the house?
No.
That happens, right?
Is that
Yes.
So someone might arrive at a call and be standing right outside, and the person inside that's asking for help desperately wants them to come in, and they're not inside, right?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. And Mr. Hammer actually asked you about the 10 minutes this call goes on. Have you listened to that?
Yes.
Do you know what happens in that 10 minutes?
I'm not sure what you're referring to as far as
Do you know
happens.
what happens in that 10 minutes that the call goes on?
At the beginning of the call?
No, at the end. The party didn't play.
Oh, the end. Do I know what's going on?
Yes.
It's just an open line.
Okay.
That you can hear in the background.
You can hear things in the background, right?
Right.
Do you ever hear medical responding on that call?
No.
Okay. If I were to give you a copy of the CAD report, could you tell me when someone from medical response actually got to Sharon Randolph's body?
Possibly, if it's in there.
Can I approach? Yes.
The other defense attorney.
325.
This guy.
Take a peek and tell me if you can identify that.
I can't remember his name.
We have to choose one of those three for a road trip. Well, Tommy's definitely out. He's out. I'd probably do the attorney that's doing the questioning right now.
I love it when I do the polls that y'all hate.
Yeah, I don't see where medical, once the updated medicals arrived, just who responded.
So there's a whole lot of entries about officers that are assigned that call, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Officers that are en route to that call, correct?
Yes.
Law enforcement response to Mr. Randolph's request for help, right?
Yes.
And you can't tell us when medical ever arrives on that scene, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
No.
Any requests? Reach right up, sorry.
Yes.
I played this game with my youngest son the other day for a long time until he got bored. And when kids get bored of games, you know you
Probably
play
in the
them
closet
too
getting
long.
more
So you
shoes.
remember, on cross-examination, there were questions about the difference between a CAD log generating 2045 versus the digital computer voice at the beginning of a 911 call. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember him saying, do you remember the computer voice saying 2044? Do you remember him saying that to you on cross?
Yes.
Do you recall whether or not he provided you the seconds? I know he gave you the hours and the minutes, but did he give you the seconds?
No, not that I recall.
Okay. And I mean, 60 seconds could be potentially a big deal, right? Because if it's 2044:01, it's much closer to 2044, correct? Versus, I don't know, 2044:54, right? That's closer to 2045. Would that be accurate?
Right.
All right. You would agree with me as a custodian of record that that digital voice that comes on, that is when the caller connects with 911.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to be replaying that 911 call.
May 2008, 20 hours, 44 minutes, 54 seconds.
How many seconds did that little computer say?
54.
So 6 seconds before 2045, correct? I mean, there was a lot of questions about it. A lot of things can happen before on the CAD log, but this call is connecting 6 seconds before we hit 2045.
Correct.
Another question that was asked was, you weren't able to determine when medical personnel was able to literally check on the person. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. We listened to about 8 minutes of that call. Is that right?
Yes.
There was someone inside the home that was alive, right? The caller.
Right.
Okay. And then this call goes on for another 10 minutes. Is that right?
Yes.
So we don't know what efforts the caller made to let those people in, and we don't know what steps were took. Is that right?
Right.
But we do know from the CAD report, but by 2050, there are police outside that house.
Yes.
And we know from by 54, there is a living human being inside that house, correct?
Correct.
Presumably wanting to get help.
Correct.
Okay. And we don't know when that door finally got open to let those people in to tend to that woman.
Right.
But we know the caller was in there.
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Nothing further.
Nothing further.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, have any questions for this witness? Okay, seeing no response, we have no excuse. Thank you very much for your testimony here today. And counsel approach.
Council may approach. I think we're almost ready to wrap up for the day. What do you think, Brandy?
I just can't stand him. The other attorney's name is, would it be fair to say? That's hilarious. Oh, Patricia G says, I'm a few minutes behind. I'm annoyed. I work in VoIP, and if the person's VoIP isn't working, they don't get a busy signal when dialing. They get no dial tone.
Mm-hmm. So we're saying the first one was Vonage's fault. The second one was 911's fault.
That poll made me clutch my pearls.
K-Matt, so let me look at the burner. I don't recall. I might have seen it and just not recalled off the top of my head.
I just, you know what I need? I need to get that sound bit from
where?
Hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
Yep. I can help look for it if you want. Just tell me a little bit about it. Or you can just look for it on your own. Offering to help. Might need to sing it again. It's getting a little sleepy. You want to do like Rockabye Baby? Here goes. Your headphones are feeling heavy. No. I do this all the time. I just talk to myself. The Step Brothers.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we anticipate the next witness may be taking longer than 30 minutes. That's what I've done here talking about, and we don't want to keep you guys past 5 and make anybody miss anything. And I made some promises to you last week that we intend to keep. So at this point, we are going to take our night recess. During this recess, you must not discuss or communicate with anyone, including fellow jurors, in any way regarding the case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media. You must not read, watch, listen to news or media accounts or commentary about the case. You must not do any research, such as consulting dictionaries, using the internet, or using reference materials. You must not
Tommy
make
doesn't
any
want to hear this
investigation,
part.
test, theory,
Took the
case,
headphones
recreating
off.
aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own. You must not form or trust any opinion regarding this case or its findings.
Investigator
Case
leg
then
up.
will be in recess till tomorrow
Come
morning
with a
at
former
10:30.
truck beeping. We got.
All right with the jury?
Did you guys see that? All right with the jury. It's all right with the jury now. Sorry, the closed caption on that was hilarious. Brandy, thank you so much for both Brandys, both Brandy in chat and Brandy on stream. Thank you so much for letting us join with you here. This has been a lot of fun. I know it's been frustrating.
So fast.
She does. It's hard to understand what she's saying. I think given time, I could type it out and transcribe it for you if you need it. So they mentioned now on Friday they're not going to start until 1 p.m.
Okay, may the record reflect we are outside the presence of our jurors. So we will start tomorrow morning with this witness, and this is the firearms person?
Yes.
Okay, and Mr. Henman, I'm sorry you got cut off, but I just didn't want them to keep waiting. So we were in the process of having some scheduling discussions.
We were, so we have a CSA we need to call. There are a few DNA people that we believe are quite short. We have Randall Stone, we have Randy McPhail.
2 Randys in a row.
Dr. Davin. We have 3 of the Millers who I don't know that will be very long. And then we have Detective Guzman who's just going over just some analysis of just phone calls, but it's not historical tower data, it's just calls and frequencies and things like that.
Okay.
And then last we have Dino Kelly. And that's basically it. So we feel, I think we feel pretty strongly that we would be probably done with our witnesses by Friday. Would that be correct, Pam?
Okay. All right, so we're still on track.
We're on track.
Okay.
They told us to bring witnesses on Friday, and I wondered if that's still the state.
Yeah, I think so.
Really? The state's
Yeah,
going to
'cause,
come on Friday?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but on Thursday, did you say we'll start at 10?
11. I have my homicide calendar and there's Tuesday and things up.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still think we'll be okay.
One question, we do have an out-of-state witness who's an expert. I'd prefer not to bring him in Friday to sit here if he's gonna bump till Monday, but we do have a local expert that can definitely come on Friday.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking just based on the time, I mean, it's gonna take some time with Detective Kelly. I think we have to factor that in, because that's always how it works. It would probably be better if you guys had your local witness lined up for Friday afternoon and be able to put them on, and then if we have to, then we can go forward and just do your out-of-state witness Monday after that.
Here's what we need to do.
And then tomorrow morning when we start,
Hang on.
we've got a stipulation as to the majority of the evidence.
Okay.
I think our plan is, at least it relates to the photographs, just to say there's a stipulation and move all of it in so we don't have to take time with foundations.
Okay.
Probably with the physical.
Yeah,
too,
with the
right?
physical as well.
All right, well, you guys can discuss that and just make sure you have the numbers.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and switch this over to here.
Anything else we need to do outside of the presence?
Nope.
Okay, remember Friday is a 1 o'clock start. But
Friday.
I'm available any other day at 8 if you guys
It's a
are.
1 o'clock start?
1 o'clock start on Friday.
Friday.
I have to do something in the morning that I tried to get out of, but I can't, so.
Okay, so we're going to turn that down. Brandy, the real Brandy, here's Brandy's in chat. Thank you so much. I think this would be fun sometime. I'd love to figure out a way where we can find a day where we can stream together. Probably on your channel would be great. Love to do that sometime. I don't know what trial in the future or if that's something you're interested in, but It sure is fun pretending to have a conversation with you. It's not almost as fun as actually having one with you. But thank you so much. You saved my bacon today. Honestly, you really did. It was, I didn't know what we were going to do, but you made it possible, and you're very generous in doing so. Thank you very much. Brandy is picking up this live stream, the same trials. We're both covering the same trial. So we were catching up with yesterday. It's going to be live here, it says, in about half an hour or so. So we're both going to be starting. So you're welcome to watch over on Brandy's channel or here with me. Both of us are doing it. There's plenty of room on the internet for the both of us. So thank you very much, Brandy. You're amazing 1,000 times over. Appreciate you. Thank you. All right. Anything else we need to do? Do we want to take an intermission? I could put some intermission music up, but we really don't have much time before court starts. Let's just see what we have here. Let's see. It's supposed to start. Well, it looks like it starts in about an hour, so we've got just a little bit of time. We could take a brief break. Brief nap. Absolutely adore Brandy. She's wonderful. Let's see, police chase. Here's what I need to get a little bit of food. That's what I'm thinking. I mean, the Whoppers were good, and they're almost gone, honestly. But I'm starting to not want any more Whoppers. That happens occasionally. Ivan is offering entertainment options, which we're going to take a hard pass on this one, Ivan, just for now. Thank you, though. Appreciate you being willing. We're going to get some lunch, and then we'll come back with more, with part 2. Well, part 1 of day 4, right? Was that right? Is today day 3? Yeah, today was day 3 because it was yesterday, actually. Yesterday was day 3. Today we're starting day 4, part 1. So I'll update this. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's definitely not parasitic. There's get so much benefit from being friends with Brandy. She's amazing. Let's see. We need to sing more. Oh, Brandy, maybe someday when Tommy's trial is done, somehow, some way, our two streams will become one. I believe in someday. Let's see. Lunch break. There was a chase in Compton yesterday. That's what I woke up to. Yeah, rare morning chase. Usually criminals sleep in the morning, but we did see a rare chase yesterday in the morning. I think it ended in a crash. A crash. I don't know why I said crash like that, but that's how it came out. I got a car chase yesterday where we got 3 different cars. Jen, can you send me the link to that one on the burner phone? I'd love to look that one up. I'd love a good car swap mid chase. That's always exciting. All right, it is hump day. It is hump day all day long. All right, here's what we're going to do. We have a little bit of a break. We have 25 minutes before we're going to go live with Tommy. We'll be back in court in Las Vegas. Brandy, thank you so much, as always. Can't say enough about you. You're wonderful. Thank you so much for letting us borrow that live stream and for being here in person as well for part of it.
Yesterday, Brandy collapsed are the best face rolling on the floor, laughing face rolling on the floor, laughing.
Thank you. It's just me. Appreciate your support as well. I think Brandy makes any stream better. I think you would agree with that. All right. Think during Verdict Watch you should go live together. I would love to do that. That would be awesome. Probably on Brandy's channel on Verdict Watch. She deserves that. See, any news about the baby in Georgia? I'm not sure. Are we talking about a case? The case we talked about today in North Carolina that was just in the news, where the family was walking home because their car ran out of gas and they got hit by a corrections officer vehicle, a corrections department vehicle, and the dad of the son who got hit and killed shot the driver of the corrections vehicle and then stole his car and drove home. Yeah, that happened. Okay, that's bizarre. They're due in court on the 21st of August, and I'm going to be reaching out to the court. I would love to do a road trip. This would be amazing. Especially, I'm already on the list to see if they actually go to trial. It seems like the sort of thing he might go to trial for and plead not guilty because he feels it's justified. So that might be an option. That might be an incredible one. Let's see. I'm not sure. Let's see. I think that's everything. All right. Yes, stream together. We'd love that. It's up to Brandy. It's really up to Brandy. I'll be available whenever. Tonight, when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone. Make the day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again, which will be in about 20 minutes. We'll see you guys later. Bye. So many buttons.